Roger Clemens passes Walter Johnson on the all-time strikeout list. Sends it back.
Jason Giambi and the Oakland Athletics all set to defend their division crown. They take on the A-Rod-less Seattle Mariners right here on ESPN2. Hi, everybody. Bill Pito in the studio. It's great to have you with us as we continue our coverage of opening day and now opening night. In the event you missed some of the excitement from opening day, how about Roger Clemens as the Yankees defending their world championship, taking on the Kansas City Royals. Down goes Hector Ortiz. 8th inning, Carlos Beltran. Career strikeout number 3,508 for Clemens, and then 3,509, the all-time AL record, passing Walter Johnson. Roger spectacular. He gets a victory. Mariano Rivera came on in relief, and the Yankees win it by the count of 7-3. Elsewhere, Baltimore beats Boston 2-1. Pedro for the Red Sox goes 7 full, does not figure in the decision. The White Sox beat Cleveland, even though Juan Gonzalez in his debut for the Indians had 2 home runs. And Oakland and Seattle to start here in moments on ESPN2. And that game will be called by Dan Schulman, and Mike McFarland will be here throughout the game with updates. Enjoy the game, everybody. Talk to you soon.
A full house is filing into Safeco Field here in Seattle, where the Mariners fans always among the most supportive in the game. Jason Giambi and the hard-hitting A's present the opposition tonight as the Mariners unveil their newest sensation, Japanese right fielder Ichiro Suzuki, who has already become a cult hero here in the Pacific Northwest. He will make his Major League regular season debut here tonight at Safeco Field. Hi, everybody. Dan Schulman and Mike McFarland with you as opening day and night, presented by the Home Depot, continue. A great matchup between a couple of rivals in the American League West. The Oakland A's won this division last year with a lot of power. Walks, home runs, a great offense, but now they've added some speed. Johnny Damon's at the top of that lineup.
Most certainly gives them an extra weapon. Is actually going to allow Art Howe to manage this year. The first guy with the green light to steal a bag since Ricky Henderson. Speed at the top of the lineup, going to be a great table setter for Jason Giambi and this powerful Oakland A's lineup, looking to be the key to their success this season.
Damon had more steals on his own than the entire A's team had as a group last year. It is packed here at Safeco, the first of 19 meetings on the season between Giambi and the A's and the Seattle Mariners. It all begins after this.
ESPN2's Major League Baseball opening day is presented by Home Depot, where low prices are just the beginning, and in part by American Airlines, giving you more room throughout coach, and by United States Marine Corps. The change is forever.
Well, it feels more like football weather than baseball weather here in Seattle tonight. There was 5 inches of snow, we were told, just a few miles away from here up in the hills, but that hasn't cooled the enthusiasm at all for the Seattle Mariners. They are back for the 2001 season here at this beautiful ballpark, and what better way to get it started than against one of their key rivals, the Oakland Athletics, as we show you the starting lineup for Art Howe here tonight. And again, as we mentioned off the top, Mike, the big name that jumps out at you is the guy right at the top of the lineup.
Johnny Damon, career highs in almost every offensive category last year with the Kansas City Royals. Came over in the big trade, like you said in the opening, Dan. His 46 steals last year were more than the entire Oakland Athletics ball club. They're going to allow Art Howe to do some hitting and running with the young hitter Ortiz behind him. Create some opportunities for that big order, the big heart of the order for the Oakland A's.
He does look a little bit different in green and gold, and who knows how long he'll be in A. He's a free agent at the end of the season. The Royals felt they wouldn't be able to sign him, so they may as well get something for him, and the A's were happy to be involved in that 3-way deal.
Still, the biggest aspect Johnny told me before the game was the white shoes.
Here at Safeco Field, the Seattle Mariners, don't forget, although the A's won the division, it was the Mariners who went further in the postseason, went to the American League Championship Series and took the Yankees to 6 games before succumbing to the eventual World Series champions. And here they come. including Ichiro Suzuki, who is going by on his uniform and just about all the time his first name, Ichiro, on the verge of becoming the first Japanese position player in the major leagues. And we're told they can't keep his jersey in stock in stores around town, that they are selling as many Ichiro jerseys right now as they ever did Griffey or A-Rod or Randy Johnson, and that's a pretty remarkable fact.
It is. Get rid of one superstar and bring another budding young one in here, and boy, you said it, they can't keep enough on the racks of his jersey, shirts, anything going with it.
We'll tell you more about Ichiro when he comes up in the bottom of the first, but how about the guy on the mound for the Mariners tonight? 24-year-old Freddie Garcia, who missed almost half of last season with a broken bone in his leg, still went 9-5, 5-1 in the month of September, and both Seattle wins over the Yankees in the American League Championship Series belong to Freddie Garcia. He is a budding star. We have two of the best young starting pitchers in the American League going tonight. Tim Hudson starting for the A's. Freddie Garcia for the Mariners as we set the defense behind him here tonight.
Well, Carlos Guillen taking over superstar Alex Rodriguez's job at shortstop. Pressure on him to be the solidifier on that middle infield. New double play partner in Brett Boone. Interesting to see how he reacts. He has an outstanding arm, solid defensively, had a good offensive spring. Looking for him to finally be healthy and extend his career and his prospect here in Seattle.
And in case you have been away for a while, forgot what season this was, we're here to remind you it's 2001.
That ground crew's not afraid to write a few things out on that infield.
Let's play ball, says the PA announcer here at Safeco. Johnny Damon is ready as he gets set to step in against Freddie Garcia. Terrific breakout season of sorts for Damon a year ago. We mentioned the steals, 46. Led the league in runs scored with 136. And now he gets a chance to hit in front of all those thumpers that the A's have in their line.
Well, he struggled at the start of the season last year, but really unbelievably hot in the second half of the season to get those career numbers.
1-0 from Garcia, misses, and it's 2-0. Garcia, big kid, 6'4", 235. And everybody around Seattle feels that he's on the verge of becoming a pretty special guy out on the mound. Roller out to second. Brett Boone back in a Seattle uniform makes the play, one down.
All right, Freddie Garcia's at his best when he stays top to bottom with that arm motion, working on a downhill plane, down at the knees. Johnny Damon, the routine ground ball to second base. Outstanding changeup as well.
And here's the Oakland second baseman, Jose Ortiz. And look at his numbers from last year when he was the MVP in the Pacific Coast League. He's a converted shortstop, but they've got a Miguel Tejada there, so Ortiz moves to second. Defense a work in progress, but everybody loves the bat.
Well, I tell you, not a single guy in that clubhouse didn't come up to me and say, look, the power that this guy has is right up there with Giambi, Olmedo Signs. Every one of them puts on a display of power in batting practice.
In the hole quickly, 0-2. Ortiz did get 11 at-bats with the A's last year. A little bit inside from Garcia. And he actually picked up his first major league hit here in this ballpark off Jamie Moyers. You get a look at Art Howe, who was rewarded with a contract extension just a few weeks ago. 1-2 from Garcia. Inside again. Got a lot of umpires in the crowd here tonight already.
Right off the bat.
What did you notice about the new strike zone from watching some of the earlier games today?
They will enforce that high pitch.
2-2 to Ortiz, just outside. On deck, the American League MVP from a year ago, Jason Giambi. Not exactly uptight before the game today, huh?
Never has been, never will be.
3-2, little flare into right center field. Cameron over into the gap, 2 down. So Damon grounds out, Ortiz flies out, and the first at bat of the season now for Giambi. A guy who is so universally popular that even as the best player on the visiting team, that's the guy you're supposed to boo in this ballpark, and they even cheered him when he was announced before the game.
Exactly. They appreciate the talent here in Seattle.
First pitch swinging, and a one-hopper back to Garcia, who has a 1-2-3 first. Ichiro Suzuki will lead it off against Tim Hudson when we come back for the bottom of the first inning here in Seattle. In Seattle for the bottom of the first inning after the A's went in order. The Mariners are coming up against right-hander Tim Hudson. Let's show you the lineup Lou Piniella has put on the field, and obviously some changes for the Mariners with the departure of Alex Rodriguez, the arrival of Ichiro Suzuki, and maybe the guy to look at is the guy who's got to provide a whole lot of protection for Edgar Martinez this year, John Olerud.
Well, he still drove in 100 runs last year, but the one guy, like you said, Dan, he needs to step it up more power-wise, and John Olerud's been told this entire career, you need to hit for more power. Up his ante a little bit in the RBI situation, be the protection behind Edgar Martinez, allow this team to get on a little bit of a roll with John Olerud staying hot the entire year.
Tough customer on the mound for the A's tonight, 25-year-old right-hander Tim Hudson, the runner-up to Pedro Martinez for the Cy Young Award last year, and an unbelievable 31-8 in his 2-year major league career.
Just a young, phenomenal athlete.
Ichiro Suzuki, who wants to be known just as Ichiro, so will comply as he steps in and takes outside ball one. A 7-time Japanese League batting champion, 7 Gold Glove Awards, 3 MVPs. You can't ask for better credentials than that. A little topper over the mound out to second. He can fly down the line, but they get him by a step.
Well, that's one thing we'll get into tonight is Suzuki's speed.
Ichiro retired. Look at the defense for the Oakland A's, and we talked about Ortiz trying to get used to a new position.
Well, he is, and going in as a rookie, they understand he's going to struggle offensively, but defensively moving from shortstop to second base. Now you have a young middle infield with the youngster Miguel Tejada, another budding superstar, going to have to be the proud papa, like he was telling me before the game, trying to coach that young kid through the perils of playing every single day in the major leagues, the ups and downs, trying to keep him on an even keel. But they really like his stuff.
Center fielder Mike Cameron comes up, his 2nd year with Seattle. And one of his better seasons last year. 1-0 swung on and missed, a ball and a strike. Kind of a free swinging guy to have up in the 2 spot. He's got a very good speed, but he doesn't get on base all that often and strikes out quite a bit. But Lou Piniella is going to have to be creative with this lineup, having lost some of the players they've lost. They're going to have to score in a variety of ways. Right on the corner, and it's 1-2.
Be interesting to see if Lou Piniella opens things up with Suzuki on first base. The speed told he was the fastest player down in the Arizona spring training. See if get Mike Cameron driving balls into the gap, scoring on doubles, a little bit of a hit and run, trying to force Mike Cameron to be a little more patient and put the ball in play on a more consistent basis.
2-2 the count on Cameron. 267 a year ago with the 19 home runs, and one of the many Seattle hitters who had much better success away from this ballpark. His numbers drastically different. 2-2. Thought about it, but checked the swing, and he takes inside. Cameron rewarded with a 3-year deal in the offseason after a very successful first year with the Mariners. Here's the 3-2 from Tim Hudson, and it's fouled off.
Tim Hudson opting to go to the changeup there on a 3-2 count. Throws the changeup when he needs to throw a strike, and the forkball when he's looking for the strikeout. Very confident. People seem to think he's cocky out there on the mound, but you know, having caught him for a year and knowing the young man, just very, very confident. It's not cockiness, it's confidence in his ability, and it shows, and the players behind him respect that.
31-8, you can be however you want to be out there. 3-2 to Cameron, and it's fouled out of play again. And Hudson's not a big guy, doesn't throw 95, 96 miles an hour. He's the kind of pitcher sometimes that gets overlooked when it comes time to draft kids out of high school or college, because there's nothing about him that on first viewing blows you away.
Exactly right, but he does have a heart of a lion. Very, very big competitor in whatever he does.
Again, the 3-2. And Cameron fouls it off again. He's having a good at bat here, already having seen 8 pitches. After Cameron's done, one way or the other, it'll be Edgar Martinez. And we may learn a lot about Edgar this year. We all know he's one of the best hitters in baseball, but he's got less protection now than he's ever had in this Seattle lineup. 3-2 taken low. What a quality at bat for Cameron.
Outstanding. Well, we talked earlier about Tim Hudson and his grips. The standard 4-seam fastball, you can see him right across the very top part of the 4-seam. The 2-seamer, he gets on the side a little bit more times than not. A 2-seam grip is right along those, but Huddy's 2-seamer, he gets a little extra sink on there, the little star changeup with his fingers on the side and the thumb underneath. That's the one he throws more for a strike. In the power forkball, you notice the thumb right on the outside seam. Again, going along with his arm slot. Ball where he gets the best release and the best action on it.
Cameron at first, 1 out, a swing and a miss by Edgar Martinez. Edgar's had some very good success against Hudson, and he's really the only Seattle hitter who can say that. He's 4 for 9 in his career. And look at his numbers from a year ago. At the age of 37, he had a career-high 37 homers and led the American League in RBIs with 145.
Just amazing.
Cameron, a pretty good lead over at first, and Hudson takes a lot of time and then finally throws over to first. Cameron, speedy, 24 steals a year ago. Martinez has hit at least .320 each of the last 6 years. The only major leaguer who can say that. Hudson works, and a base hit into left field for Edgar. Cameron will stop at second, and the Mariners have 2 on with only 1 out.
Year in and year out, Edgar Martinez, the one thing he refuses to do is be fooled on an off-speed pitch. Concentrates on the center of the ballpark, gets a changeup up in the zone, stays right on it, concentrating on keeping his hands inside the ball. Guy is just phenomenal. Anybody at home that wants to learn how to hit from the right side, model yourself after Edgar Martinez.
First and second, 1 out for the Mariners here in the bottom of the first, and here comes John Olerud. Kind of a typical Olerud year. Hits for a pretty good average, drives in the runs, walks a lot, better than 100 times. Different kind of a role for him this year. Hudson works, and Olerud waves at it. 0-1. He was fooled. We have a matchup here of 2 of the best two-way baseball players that collegiate baseball has ever seen. Tim Hudson was the SEC Player of the Year his senior year at Auburn. He hit .396 with 18 homers and won 15 games. And John Olerud was an All-American as both a pitcher and a DH at Washington State. Hudson chose pitching, or pitching was chosen for him. Olerud chose hitting. And I think we'd have to say both of them made a pretty good choice.
They made the right choice. Exactly right. Tim Hudson was very fond of that big-barreled aluminum bat, he said. Could care less about the 15 wins. He was more impressed with the home runs.
And Hudson, about 160 pounds, soaking wet. Hard to imagine him hitting .396 with all that power. The 0-2 to Olerud. Line drive center field right at Terrence Long, who makes the catch as the runners retreat.
Tim Hudson, notice Ramon Hernandez setting up, and Huddy, when he gets in trouble, is when he's trying to throw that ball, starting it on the inside hip of a left-handed batter, and it runs too much out over the plate, and John Olerud smoked that ball to center field. One pitch Tim Hudson got away with.
2 out with 2 on now, and Hudson to face Seattle second baseman Brett Boone in his second tour of duty with the Mariners. This is down and away, ball 1.
Well, this is the right-handed bat that I think could be a huge key for the Seattle Mariners this year. Brett Boone has put on 15 pounds of solid muscle. Hardly recognized him when I saw him. just looking very, very nice. Feeling very comfortable coming back to Seattle and looking to do some damage in this ballpark.
Hudson will look back at Cameron and the 1-0 in there. Well, the Mariners are hoping that just about everybody on their lineup can do a little bit more than they did last year. If Boone can give them a little more offense than they got at second base last year. If Dan Wilson behind the plate, David Bell at third, if they can up their numbers a little bit from disappointing seasons a year ago, then Lou Piniella feels collectively they've still got a chance to score a lot of runs. Ground ball slowly hit out to short. Tejada onto Ortiz to force Martinez and end the inning as Hudson gets out of the jam. Scoreless through 1 here in Seattle. Here in Seattle, second inning between the Mariners and the Athletics. The final game here on opening day, presented by the Home Depot. Already some very interesting moments in all the day games. Roger Clemens, a big milestone here today. Olmedo Saenz takes a strike from Freddie Garcia to begin the second. Saenz is the DH here tonight. Right-handed batter, pretty much a platoon guy last year. He's starting tonight because John Jaha opens the season on the DL, coming back from shoulder surgery. He's at AAA Sacramento getting some at-bats. Jaha felt he was ready and should have started the season, but the A's wanted to be a little careful with him.
Yeah, he was none too pleased about having to go to Sacramento, but they felt with these games starting off against the division rivals right off the bat, they needed their full horses going right now, and Olmedo Saenz, a very, very underrated hitter.
And what a schedule it is for the American League West teams. They all begin the season with 19 consecutive games against division opponents. Saenz with a fly ball, very shallow left center field, making it look easy is Cameron. More baseball comes your way on Wednesday night. How about the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves? If you want to talk about division rivals, others of you will see the Chicago White Sox take on the Cleveland Indians. David Wells had a good start for the White Sox against the Indians this afternoon. Then later on ESPN2, Gary Sheffield and the Dodgers against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Others will see the Padres against the Giants. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. One out in the second inning. Third baseman Eric Chavez, coming off a terrific season a year ago, gets a chance to come up. 1-0 from Garcia, just outside, ball 2. It seems like every guy who comes up came up through the system and is loaded with talent.
Loaded with talent, loaded with the knowledge of the system that they're trying to do. Get ahead in the count and let it rip.
That is something they preach right up and down the system, right?
Starting from day one in rookie ball, work the count, make the pitcher show you all his pitches, and attack when you're in a hitter's count.
Chavez will draw the walk. The first base runner allowed by Garcia here tonight. The A's a year ago were second in the American League in drawing walks and second in the American League in hitting home runs. That's why they were one of the best offensive teams in baseball. They proved you can do it without a lot of 300 hitters. Now, not everybody can do it that way. Not everybody has those kinds of skills. But when you got a couple of Giambis and a Chavez and a Miguel Tejada, this guy right here, I mean, this guy's a shortstop. And look at the numbers that he put up.
Monster season for this young man.
Only Alex Rodriguez had more homers and more RBIs from the shortstop position a year ago than Tejada did. And I'm not sure we should say A-Rod around this stadium right now. It might be a dangerous thing to do.
They were showing some bloopers on the scoreboard. The fans were letting A-Rod have it.
Oh boy, they haven't forgotten, to say the least. A fraud. They did enjoy his error in Puerto Rico yesterday. The Mariners will play the Texas Rangers this weekend in Arlington, and then the Rangers will be here 2 weeks from tonight. So it won't take Seattle fans long to get it out of their system against A-Rod. Want to know the count on Tejada. Chavez at first, 1 out in the top of the second inning. And that pitch a little bit too high, ball 2.
And this is where the Oakland A's get dangerous. 1 out, all of a sudden you got a walk. Then you can hit a base hit. And then you got first and third, and someone comes up and hits a ball in the gap. It's the way this team works itself. Miguel Tejada in a triple count now, looking for one pitch out over the plate, looking to do some damage with it.
Garcia's thrown 6 consecutive balls. And to make it 7. We'll get Dan Wilson to the mound for the 2nd time already in this inning.
Well, one thing I've noticed about Freddie Garcia tonight is he is throwing extremely hard. 95, 96 consistently. He has that outstanding changeup. Hasn't thrown it too many times, but maybe hyped up a little bit for this opening day start. Really running it in there with some velocity.
It is Garcia's first ever opening day start. Obviously, for many, many years, those went to Randy Johnson by default. But you've got a couple of very young, talented pitchers getting their first opening day starts here tonight in Garcia and Hudson. Missed again. Back-to-back walks issued by Garcia. Well, nothing pleases Oakland GM Billy Beane like a couple of walks and then a 3-run homer. And their batting average, well, it was really not among the best in the American League last year. The steals were right down at the bottom, but look at how impressive all the other numbers on this list are.
The on-base percentage and the slugging percentage, what Billy Beane, Paul D. Podesta, assistant general manager, they preach, they believe in wholeheartedly, and you can see the way it worked for the Oakland A's last year.
Now with Johnny Damon at the top of the lineup, the steals obviously are going to go way up. The batting average probably will go up as well. And the A's have lost a little power. Some of their players are gone from last year. Matt Stairs is no longer with them. Ben Grieve went in that 3-way trade. Randy Velarde's not here. They might hit fewer home runs, but they can diversify the offense a little bit more this year, and they may wind up scoring as many runs, just in different ways.
Exactly right. Creating and manufacturing.
Center fielder Terrence Long. He hit 18 home runs last year as he takes outside ball 1. 9 consecutive balls thrown by Garcia. Lou Pinella's already been to the mound. Dan Wilson has been to the mound twice, and now the crowd is trying to do what it can in support of Garcia. Swing and a miss, 1-1.
Terrence Long none too pleased with himself. Little two-seam fastball down out of the zone. Took himself out of his game plan.
Runner-up a year ago for American League Rookie of the Year to Ichiro Suzuki of the Mariners. 2 on, only 1 out. 1-1 pitch to Long, and he chased it 1-2.
There's that good Freddie Garcia changeup. Dan Wilson going out there talking to him. Lou Piniella, start mixing some things up. You're hyped. Over the top changeup, down in the zone, outstanding. Veteran catcher Dan Wilson.
One-two pitch, and it's fouled out of play left side. You can see again, as you mentioned, Mike, how hard he's throwing. When he's throwing his fastball, it's 95 and above.
Exactly. Good riding four-seam fastball. A guy that can pitch up in this new strike zone. Freddie Garcia with the riding, running fastball.
He's had a better success against Long, though, in this at-bat with the off-speed stuff. Again, the 1-2. Got him. Long went fishing, and it comes up empty. 2 down.
Well, not too good a productive at-bat for Terrence Long. Swings at the first ball down in the zone. Then he comes back with that changeup again. Dan Wilson, great job of blocking, smothering the ball in front of him. Terrence Long out on the front side. A little over anxious on opening night. Now Freddie Garcia still was in the situation where a ground ball and you're out of the inning. Now 2 outs, looking to get out with no damage done.
Just like Tim Hudson did in the bottom of the first. He had 2 on and 1 out and got out of it. Here's Jeremy Giambi, the starter in right field tonight. A guy hoping to emerge from his brother's shadow as much as possible and started making his own mark. And he certainly got the ability to do that as he takes high ball 1. Giambi figures right now to be a platoon player in right field with Adam Hyatt, a right-handed bat. Giambi certainly with some good credentials. Big brother's got some terrific numbers. Little brother hit .372 at AA a couple of years back. .254 last year with 10 homers.
Has a very good idea about what he needs to do at the plate. Stays within himself, doesn't play the big game like his brother. knows what it takes to get him going, is his brother's best swing analysis. Can analyze his brother's swing, make a few comments here and there. Jason's ever in trouble. Jeremy has a knack of getting him out of it.
2-0 from Garcia. Down and away, ball 3. In jeopardy of loading the bases on walks here in the second inning. At second to Chavez, at first Tejada. Long struck out for the second out, and it's 3-0 on Jeremy Giambi. Right down the middle, 3-1. He told you it was chilly. It was drizzling earlier today, but when the clouds broke, they opened the roof here at Safeco. Three-1. Got him 3-2. Boy, was he fooled.
Boy. Dan, look at the action on this changeup going down and away from Jeremy Giambi. Perfect location, great action on the ball.
Keep smiling, stay warm. Runners will be on the move. 3-2. Got him. What a bounce back effort from Freddie Garcia, striking out Long and Giambi to strand a couple and end the threat for the A's here in the top of the second. Not many seats to be had here at Safeco Field here tonight. Scoreless game between the A's and the Mariners. Season opener for both teams. Bottom of the second inning, Al Martin, David Bell, and Dan Wilson are coming up for Seattle against Tim Hudson. The Mariners threatened in the first, 2 on with 1 out, but couldn't score. And here's Martin, who is the opening day left fielder for Seattle. Came over in a trade from San Diego last year. His combined numbers, you see. He did much better, though, with the Padres than he did with the Mariners. Hudson ready. First pitch, chopped to the right side. Nicely done by Jason Giambi, 1 down.
The third baseman, number 25, David Bell.
Because Giambi's big story, or one of the big stories, is the ongoing contract situation for him. He's a potential free agent at the end of this season. They've come to terms on money. What the A's and Giambi can't agree on is a no trade clause, and right now it's a stalemate.
Dead stalemate.
David Bell, the batter. He'll take it high, ball 1.
Just stuck it during some part of Jason's next 4 years. He's going to be a 10-5 guy, meaning 10 years in the major leagues, 5 with the same organization, and he gives him the right of refusal for trades. And that's the sticking point.
What he wants is a complete no trade, so that the A's don't have any opportunity to trade him before he becomes a 10-5 player. And the A's have offered him a no trade for the first couple of years, but then there's a window of about 1.5 years before he becomes a 10-5, when they want to be able to trade him in case things aren't going well, the team's losing money, and they can no longer afford the contract. And Giambi says, but I want to commit to you. I want to stay here. Give me a complete no trade. And right now the A's are saying, well, we can't meet you halfway on that one. 2-1 pitch, just outside of ball 3. And although he doesn't have 10-12 years in the majors, it's hard to think of a guy who represents his franchise better and means more to his franchise right now than Jason Giambi.
Exactly.
3-1 the count on David Bell. No score, second inning. And a ground ball to short, 2 hopper to Miguel Tejada. And the throw dug out by Giambi, 2 down. Flashy defensive player who does a lot with the bat as well. A product of the A's productive farm system.
We saw Miguel Tejada all the time on the highlight films with outstanding defensive plays. Very strong arm. One of the hardest workers that I've seen at such a young age. Still takes hour worth of ground balls before batting practice, during batting practice, constantly working to get better.
Here's Dan Wilson, the longtime catcher for the Mariners, who got one of the biggest ovations of anybody on the team in the pregame introductions. Coming off his most difficult season offensively, but had a big spring. And the Mariners are hopeful he'll get back to where he was 3-4 years ago when he was one of the better hitting catchers in baseball. Chavez in on the grass to make the play to get a Wilson, and the Mariners are gone in order in the second. It remains scoreless here in Seattle.
ESPN2's Major League Baseball Opening Day, presented by Home Depot, is brought to you by Warner Brothers' new motion picture, Swordfish, in theaters everywhere this summer. And by Right Guard Extreme Sport. Get extreme. Get Right Guard.
Top of the third inning, Oakland catcher Ramon Hernandez is ready to face Freddie Garcia. Scoreless game between Oakland and Seattle. Garcia works and right down the middle with a strike, 0-1. If you're the A's, even if you hit ninth, you got to have some pop. And Ramon Hernandez caught better than 140 games, hit a 14 home runs, 62 RBIs. Pretty good production from the 9 spot in the lineup.
Broke Ray Fosse's club record for games caught.
Sal Fasano, who was your teammate for a couple of years,
Kansas City, yes.
Now in his second year as the backup to Hernandez, who misses high, ball 2-1. You had a lot of time with Kansas City your last couple of years with the A's. What was it like to play with this bunch as they were developing?
Everyone talks about the frat party atmosphere, Dan, and it truly was. But when it was game time, it was time to go to war, time to go to battle, and it still is the mantra in that clubhouse. Have all the fun you want, but come back, come ready to play night in and night out, and that's exactly what this ball club is all about, getting the job done.
2 years ago, when Giambi was still developing into the person that he was, as there's a line drive off the bat of Hernandez all the way down into the corner, and he is chugging for second. Was Giambi already a leading force in that clubhouse a couple of years ago?
Yes, he definitely was. You know, if Art had a question, how's the morale of the troops? As you see Ramon Hernandez just jump on a fastball up in the strike zone. Ramon's going to have a solid year this year. Had a tough time dealing with the rigors of catching every day, but says he's ready to go. Is in great shape this year. But back to Jason, he's the guy in the clubhouse where if you have a problem, he's kind of the mediator, the go-between to Art Howe. And Art listens and takes his opinion seriously, as does Billy Beane.
Johnny Damon, the batter, first pitch swinging. He pops it up right out in front of the plate. And Wilson will make the catch for the first out of the inning as Damon fails to advance the runner, which is not really something the A's worry about a whole lot, but Damon is one of those guys who tries to get it done.
And that's what's frustrating to Johnny Damon right now. Gets a pitch in the zone. All he has to do is make a productive out. We talk about it. Get a ball over to the right side. Move Ramon Hernandez to third base. Runner on third base, less than 2 outs. Get something positive out of your at bat. Johnny knows he doesn't have to carry the weight of the guys that they lost coming in here and be the savior to get them over the hump, but opening night jitters probably going for Johnny Damon right now.
Jose Ortiz, the second baseman, takes a strike. You saw his numbers from AAA a year ago. He continued to swing a hot bat in spring training for the A's this year. He had 27 hits for Oakland in the spring, and 15 of them were for extra bases. Garcia from the stretch in the 0-1 and drops a little bit low to even up the count. Randy Velarde was the second baseman for the A's last year, now with Texas. As Garcia takes a bit of a slow stroll back up to the top of the mound after not getting the call. Just inside a 2-1.
That's one thing this Oakland A's team lost was the infield leader in Randy Velarde. Was a calming influence to Miguel Tejada. Now you have the young second baseman and Jose Ortiz. You know he's going to struggle at some point during the season. It's going to be a maturing process throughout the season for him.
2-1 late on the swing, and he fouls it off right side, 2-2. No, one thing the A's have chosen to do and have also had to do is to break in young players, because once some veterans on our Art House team reach a certain level and start earning a certain amount of money, the A's just can't afford them anymore. So their farm system has to be productive. Two and a swing and a miss by Ortiz as Garcia comes up with his third strikeout of the night.
Well, now you see Dan Wilson, Freddie Garcia starting to get into a real good rhythm. When he was in trouble earlier, he was going to his changeup. Now he's getting the breaking ball over, getting good bite, good torque on it, down in the dirt, trusting Dan Wilson to block that ball, taking advantage of the youthfulness of Ortiz to go into a chase zone to expand his zone. Nice pitch out of the strike zone from Freddie Garcia.
Now let's see how carefully they pitch to Jason Giambi here with 2 outs and a base open. Olmedo Signs on deck.
This will be the unintentional intentional walk. Go after the right-hander. In every meeting you go into with your pitcher and catcher, who's the guy you will not let you beat you? And that's Jason Giambi on this Oakland A's team. Make Olmedo Signs beat you in this game.
High 2-0.
And to Jason's credit, he knows this going in. When it comes to a certain count, certain time in the ball game, he will expand his strike zone to try and get that big base hit, that big RBI, take himself out of his game, but to try and do it for the benefit of the glove.
He walked 137 times last year, and he's about to draw his first walk of the 2001 season here. It will be an intentional walk issued to Giambi to put runners at first and second with 2 down and bring up Olmedo Signs, and really Lou Piniella making the percentage play. No disrespect to Signs, but he's a right-handed hitter, and this guy's a left-handed batter who won the MVP last year. Signs did hit .313 a year ago with 9 homers and only 214 at-bats. Guy who kicked around in the minors for many, many years. 8 years in the minors before getting a chance with the A's last season. Two on, 2 out as the A's try to break on top. Garcia misses outside, ball 1. Trying to get a little bit restless with Garcia's lack of control in the last couple of innings.
10 pitches in the first inning to get out of the first. 23 pitches in the second inning. Struggling here in the third again.
A look back at the runner in the 1-0. Swung on and laced into the gap in left center field. This one will get all the way to the wall for extra bases. Hernandez will score easily. Giambi is going to be held at third as the ball's kicked around a little bit, but no further damage done. It's an RBI double for Signs, and the A's take a 1-0 lead.
Well, I said on the onset about the ability of Olmedo Signs. Very, very good fastball hitter. Said how underrated he is. Look at him get his load. There's a high strike coming in at 95, 96 miles an hour. Still has the ability to climb on top of it. This guy came out of nowhere, Dan, a couple years ago. We were wondering, where did this guy go? How can he not be up with the Chicago White Sox? And Oakland A's sure are glad he's here.
Spent a lot of time down in the Chicago system before getting a chance with the A's. Drives in a run. Moves Giambi to third. And now Eric Chavez is the batter. He walked his first time up. Garcia catches the corner. Chavez hoping to become truly a full-time player this year. He didn't get a ton of at-bats against lefties last year, and he didn't even hit 200 against them. Signs was often the guy who would play third base, or Adam Pyatt also played third base against left-handed pitching, but Chavez wants to become a 155, 160 game a year guy.
Well, if Olmedo Signs continues to swing the bat like he's capable of, you have got to have him in the lineup somewhere, somehow, especially if John Jaha comes back off the DL.
1-1 to Chavez. Boy, he geared up for that one, didn't he?
Not trying to slap it the other way.
That's not in the Oakland playbook.
A good riding fastball from Freddie Garcia. Big load by Eric Chavez. Futile.
Garcia out in front of 1-2, and Chavez chases and strikes out to end the inning. But the A's break on top. Olmedo Signs drives in a run, and it's 1-0 Oakland. Bottom of the third, the A's 1 and the Mariners nothing on an RBI double by Olmedo Signs. Seattle shortstop Carlos Guillen, the number 9 batter, is going to lead it off against Tim Hudson. Guillen will take a strike. He, of course, is not trying to replace Alex Rodriguez. He is merely playing the position that Alex Rodriguez played for the Mariners. And interesting for Guillen, 2 years ago he was the opening day starter at second. Last year the opening day starter at third, and now he's the opening day starter at short, which is his natural position.
He wasn't moving that guy that was at short,
no.
though.
Another strike, 0-2. Guillen last year, 7 homers, 42 RBIs in 90 games. One of the players who came over from the Houston Astros in the Randy Johnson trade. 0-2, and if Hernandez can find it, which he does, fire down to first just in time, so chalk up a strikeout for Tim Hudson. Now the second at bat of the night for Ichiro, who is still being announced here in the stadium as Ichiro Suzuki. There are a lot of fans who have really come to adore him in a hurry, even though for most of them this may be the first time they're ever seeing him in person. Seattle, of course, as you would imagine, has become Japan's favorite team, with Kazu Sasaki and now Ichiro Suzuki both playing here. He has been characterized with the high batting average, a guy who hits the ball the other way more often than not. He's been called a Tony Gwynn. He's been called a Johnny Damon. He's been called a Brett Butler, as everybody tries to figure out what kind of a player he is and how good he is. Chopper to first, and a Giambi will make the play for the second out as we go back for an update with Bill Pito in the studio.
Dan, thank you very much. Opening day, Pac Bell Park. The Giants hosting the Padres. Top four, Squeaky Gonzalez to left. Tony Gwynn going to try to score. Barry Bonds to the plate. A developing situation. Gwynn out of the plate. Then bottom 5. Career home run number 495 for Bonds. Levon Hernandez goes 7 1/3. Bonds' son gets a kiss. Giants win at 3-2.
And Giants and Padres, you'll be seeing them in a regional action Wednesday night as part of the Wednesday night doubleheader on ESPN and ESPN2. Good to see Tony Gwynn playing, but kind of scary to see him running that hard and sliding for the plate. You just never know how long he's going to stay healthy.
Big key to the Padres.
2 outs, nobody on here in the third, and the batter is Mike Cameron.
Got to play hard, Tony Gwynn. Only way he knows how. He's not going to hold up.
Had some chances to go elsewhere, but it looks like he's going to finish his career in a Padre uniform. Not too many guys around who are playing their whole career in one uniform. 2-0 to Cameron at the knees, 2-1.
Boy, Tim Hudson sure is finding his zone. 27 pitches coming into this inning. Quick outs. Always a battle trying to get Tim Hudson to use the defense behind him. And in the past, Dan, that could have been a curse, but the way things have been solidified throughout the middle infield here, throwing strikes, getting out there, minimizing your pitches, minimizing the time you're out there on the mound has been a big key to Tim Hudson's success lately.
He's retired 7 in a row after getting in trouble in the first inning. First and second, 1 out. He got out of that, and the Mariners haven't been able to touch him since. The 2-2 to Mike Cameron. They'll appeal, no swing, full count. Can't get enough on Ichiro.
Looking pretty suave there.
And that's the thing to keep in mind about him. He's a rookie by major league standards, but having won 7 batting titles and 3 MVPs in Japan, he is used to all the attention that he's getting. He and his wife, so the story goes, got married in Los Angeles because she's a very popular television personality. He's the most popular player there. They just can't go out in public. So they moved their wedding to L.A. so they could have a little privacy as Cameron draws the walk. And by all accounts, Ichiro, and this is from people who have played in Japan, managed in Japan, is Michael Jordan and Alex Rodriguez and Tiger Woods and then some in terms of his popularity over in Japan.
All rolled into one.
That's scary. He loves the anonymity of being able to walk around Seattle and not everybody recognizing him, although I imagine that's going to change pretty soon.
In a hurry. Posters splattered everywhere.
Here's Edgar Martinez. He has the only hit of the night for the Seattle Mariners. Cameron on the move. Martinez taking all the way. Head first slide. He's in there safely. Now he's going to try for third. Here comes the throw from center and in safely with another head first slide. Welcome to the new Seattle Mariners.
Well, this whole stolen base starts with a great jump by Mike Cameron. Catches Tim Hudson in an off-speed pitch. Ramon Hernandez, great transfer of the ball into the glove, but sinks into the line. Ortiz not getting there over to stop the ball. Great hustle by Mike Cameron.
Around at third with 2 outs. And the Mariners' best hitter at the plate, Edgar Martinez, with a count of 1-0. Down and away, ball 2. Here's where the issue of John Olerud hitting behind Edgar Martinez comes into play. We saw how the Mariners didn't want anything to do with Giambi, took their chances with Saenz, who hurt them. How will other teams approach Martinez in this kind of a situation with Olerud waiting on deck?
Well, basically, you have 2 left-handed hitters up right now. Edgar Martinez hits right-handers just as well as he hits left-handers. A left-hander out on the mound, definitely you pitch around Edgar Martinez, go after John Olerud. But in this situation, Phil Tim Hudson has to go after Edgar as well as John Olerud. You can't get yourself into a big inning here with 2 outs.
After falling behind 3-0, now they'll put Martinez on. Brad doesn't like that at all. John Olerud may see a fair amount of that over the course of the season. Edgar immensely popular here in the Pacific Northwest, as is John Olerud, who's a native son. Born in Seattle, went to high school here, went to Washington State, and after stints with the Blue Jays and the Mets, came back home. A .299 career hitter. He's only hit over 300 twice, but when he does, he really does.
Like 399.
363 and a 354. The 2 times that John Olerud's hit over 300. First and third, 2 down. 1-0 Oakland as Olerud takes outside.
Only the 3rd inning. A situation here where you have a base open, albeit second base, still gives you a chance to possibly pitch around John Olerud to go after the right-handed hitting Brett Boone, who hasn't seen Tim Hudson at all or his stuff.
The 1-0 to Olerud, taken for a strike.
There's the behind the count changeup. The ability of Tim Hudson to change speeds and throw the off-speed pitch consistently for a strike.
There are a lot of guys in the majors who throw 4 pitches, but Tim Hudson throws 4 pitches effectively. Checks the runner at first, Martinez. Cameron around at third, 2 down. And the 1-1 pitch on the way. Olerud thought about it, but he took a strike.
Again with the changeup. Now you got a chance to force John Olerud to expand his zone. Here's the back-to-back changeups. This one stays up in the zone a little bit more than Huddy wanted to. Now you have a chance to spike a couple fork balls in the dirt. See if John Olerud will chase after it. Comes out of the same arm slot with a firmer velocity. Comes in looking like a fastball, and then it's in the dirt.
2 on, 2 out. Steps off, tries to catch Edgar napping at first base. Fans just hate that move. Right?
Yeah, that move's being called from Art Howe, Ken Maka, the bench coach. I'm going to go for the fork ball in the dirt, possibly.
Got him. He got it. Hernandez again has to complete the strikeout. That will end the inning as Hudson gets out of trouble again through 3 in Safeco. 1-0 Oakland leading Seattle. Possible exception of Pac Bell Park in San Francisco. This is the best smelling ballpark around, isn't it?
Hands down.
Makes a guy hungry. Fourth inning, 1-0 A's. Miguel Tejada up. First pitch swinging. Bouncer to short. Carlos Guillen will make the play, 1 down.
Freddie Garcia would like a couple innings of that. First pitch hacking by the Oakland A's.
Garcia touched for a run last inning on the RBI double by Olmedo Signs. Here's Terrence Long, who struck out his first time up. 1-0 Oakland, a fourth inning. And down low, ball 1. And right down the middle for a strike, 1-1. Freddie Garcia finds himself at the top of a pretty formidable group of pitchers for the Mariners as Long slashes one the other way, fair down the left field line. Martin to cut it off before it reaches the corner, but it's still an easy double for Long.
Boy, Terrence Long had a breakthrough season last year for the Oakland A's, doing things like this. Pitch down. Great pitch by Freddie Garcia, but Terrence Long keeps his head and body over the ball, extends through it, keeps the ball fair. That's hard to do on a pitch outside. The barrel going one way, the ball going the other, and without that ball slicing out of play, Dan, great piece of hitting by Terrence Long.
1-out double for Long. Third hit of the night for the A's. They've all been doubles. Ramon Hernandez, Olmedo Signs, and now Terrence Long. There's Jeremy Giambi. He struck out his first time up. Bell, the third baseman, was in even with the bag. Now he's backed up a couple of steps as Giambi pops it out of play. Started to mention Garcia being at the top of a pretty impressive group of pitchers, which has been depleted some because of injuries. But Seattle, once a team known only for its offense, now has a deep and talented group of pitchers. Aaron Seeley is in the rotation, John Halama, Jamie Moyer, and when he comes off the DL, hopefully in a couple of weeks, Paul Abbott, who's got a sore shoulder right now. Throw to third, bounced in, and Terrence Long has it stolen.
When a runner steals third base, he does it off the pitcher. Freddie Garcia not giving him the time of day. Middle infielders not busting him back, keeping him close at all. Terrence Long says, you're going to give it to me, I'm going to take it. Now you're in a situation where a fly ball scores you, less than 2 outs, looking for Jeremy Giambi to get that productive out.
And the Mariners have brought the infield in here early in the game, already trailing 1-0. 1-1 a pitch, just inside, ball 2.
If you're Freddie Garcia out on the mound now, you're going to try and jam Jeremy Giambi or get him to try and poke something. Pound him hard in, jam himself with the pitch or off speed down and away right there.
Even if you lose him, you've still got the double play in order with a right-handed batter coming up.
And you're, yes, exactly. You miss, so what? You're 1 pitch away from getting out of the inning still.
It's the 1 pitch Garcia couldn't find in the third. 3-1 to Giambi. Challenged him, and it's fouled back, full count.
Hard in. Look for a changeup down and away here from Freddie Garcia. See if Jeremy will expand his zone.
Long down at third with just 1 out. Garcia has already walked 3 tonight, 1 of them intentionally. The A's lead 1-0. Full count pitch, low, ball 4, and runners on the corners. We have a final from the NCAA championship game. Mike Krzyzewski and the Duke Blue Devils have won their 3rd national title in the last 10 years with a 10-point win over Arizona. Congratulations to Duke. And for those of you who may just be tuning in, We're at the bottom end of opening day presented by the Home Depot. Dan Schulman and Mike McFarland with you here in Seattle. It's a 1-0 lead for the Oakland A's over the Seattle Mariners here in the fourth. And the A's threatening for more with the runners at first and third, one out. Ramon Hernandez facing Freddie Garcia and taking a strike. The A's got their run in the third inning on an RBI double by Olmedo Saenz that scored Hernandez, who doubled to lead off the inning. Here in the fourth, Terrence Long doubled with one out, stole third. Then a walk issued to Jeremy Giambi, and Freddie Garcia, who was very good early, has really struggled recently to find the strike zone more than anything. And more often than not, Mike, it's been with his fastball. When he's had some success, it seems it's been with his off-speed
Well,
stuff.
we talked about his velocity being in the mid-90s, which isn't exactly his game. More times than not, he's going to be 92, 93 miles an hour in that situation where he can control his fastball a little bit better. But Dan Wilson has done a great job lately of mixing in the curveball as well as the changeup.
Throw to first. You saw Brett Tomko warming up in the Seattle pen. He's the designated long man in the bullpen for Seattle, who in the first couple of weeks may be pushed into some spot starting duty with Paul Abbott on the DL with a sore shoulder. And Tomko is always itching for the opportunity to prove to Lou Piniella that he belongs in the rotation full time. The 1-1 to Hernandez. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
And there's that breaking ball we were just talking about, Dan. Ramon Hernandez, first time up, jumped all over a 95-mile-an-hour fastball of Freddie Garcia up in the zone. Now testing him with the off-speed pitch. Two curveballs. Try and spike the ball a little bit here. Dan Wilson, definitely a guy you can trust to block the baseball for you. See if Ramon Hernandez will take himself out of his offensive groove.
Here comes the 1-2 down and away, and there's a good stop, just as you mentioned, by Dan Wilson. It's got to give a pitcher so much confidence when he knows he can throw just about anything anywhere and it won't get by the catcher.
Exactly. You stick a curveball down in that situation, you know as a pitcher that the catcher's telling you you want this ball in the dirt. You saw Dan Wilson get on his haunches there, anticipating and reacting to the ball in the dirt.
First and third, one out. The A's already leading 1-0 here in the fourth inning. And the 2-2 to Hernandez. Line drive, base hit into left field. Long will score. Giambi stops at second, and the A's now lead 2-0.
Boy, the development of a young hitter before your eyes. Ramon Hernandez. Two breaking balls. Gets a changeup. Different plane, but stays on it long enough, trying to keep himself in the middle of the ballpark, keeps his hands back, and smokes that changeup to left field for an RBI. Big hit for the Oakland A's.
He has doubled and scored, and now he's got an RBI single as Lou Piniella continues to pace and Brett Tomko continues to throw in the pen. Here's Johnny Damon. Up and away, ball one to the A's new leadoff hitter and left fielder, who's 0 for 2 tonight with a ground out and a pop-up, coming off a terrific year, especially the second half, as you mentioned, Mike, with Kansas City a year ago. Damon doesn't know where he's going to be a year from now, but he's not worried about it. Playing with a team that's definitely got a chance to get back to the postseason, somewhere that Damon's never been. With the temperature dropping into the high 30s, the roof is closing here at Safeco.
Roof closing for fan comfort is the official statement. How about the announcer's comfort?
We didn't dress for the weather, did we? Swung on and missed. 1-2. The count on Damon.
Johnny taking himself out of his strengths a little bit now. Getting two balls down in the zone. Swinging over the top of them. Definitely feeling first game jitters in Oakland green.
We talked about Ichiro's heart pumping as he gets a chance to play in the majors for the first time. For Damon, it's got to be just about as exciting after the Royals were the only thing that he had ever known. Takes it high, 2-2. A guy who grew up near there and had really become a big factor in the community in Kansas City.
Very much so.
Never thought he would have to leave Kansas City. But the economics of the game sometimes dictate that teams like the Royals can't hold on to their players. It was just a bit of a surprise that he wound up with another team that has trouble financially holding on to all of its players. 2-2. the most beautiful ballparks around. Safeco Field, which opened about a year and a half ago. It will be the site of the All-Star game this season. And what a different atmosphere than the old Kingdome was, huh?
Oh, the mausoleum. There were guys in line begging to hit the plunger on that field.
95 days until the All-Star game right here in Seattle. 2-2 to Damon. Up and away, ball 3. I don't know that Freddie Garcia is going to get much more of a chance to work this out if he loses Damon. Already Giambi out at second, Hernandez at first, a run in, only 1 out. Tomko should be ready if Piniella wants him.
Tomko's ready, and you got a unproven hitter and Jose Ortiz on deck. Situation where Art Howe might start the runners in this. Johnny Damon, contact hitter.
Garcia's body language suggesting he's just not real comfortable right now, taking a lot of time. He needs Dan Wilson again. They want him, they need him to be their #1 guy. They've got Seeley and Halama and Moyer and eventually Abbott behind him. Some of their depth taken away because of injuries to Ryan Anderson and Gil Mesh. Not exactly the kind of pitch counter ratio that Garcia requires. Nobody there, and he throws it into center field. Now the runner from first is caught, and then he'll get back because Giambi wasn't going anywhere. What a misadventure for both teams.
No harm, no foul.
Wow.
You see Carlos Guillen busting back in. Freddie Garcia sees it and says, well, you stopped, I didn't. Continues with the throw. Mike Cameron hustling in, barehanded. Not a bad play by Jeremy Giambi, not advancing on that. Not risk the situation of taking yourself out of a big inning.
And Hernandez fortunate to put the brakes on in time and to get it back to first base. Now the 3-2, and Damon chops it foul.
As a catcher, boy, you got to get those wheels started. And once you get those wheels started, hard to slow them down. There was a situation, 3-2 changeup to Johnny Damon. Not quite pitching around him to get to Ortiz, but not giving Johnny a ball up out over the plate.
Again, the 3-2. Damon lays off. They'll appeal. No swing. And the bases are loaded. And that may be all for Garcia. Lou Piniella making his way out toward the mound. He's got a very deep pen down there if he needs to go to him early. Tomko ready if needed, but not the kind of start that Piniella was hoping for from Freddie Garcia. A 17-game winner 2 years ago. 9 wins in just over half a season last year because of the leg injury. And Pinella's going to give him a chance to work out of it.
Lou going out and telling him exactly what we've talked about time and again. You're 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning. Give me a good fastball down in the zone. Young kid will chase. Get a ground ball. Use the defense behind you. Double play, and we're back in trying to score some runs.
Garcia has already walked 5 tonight. Look at some of the power numbers that the A's put up last year, including a major league record of 14 grand slams. The bases are loaded now with only 1 out for Jose Ortiz, who has flied out and struck out tonight. Again the appeal, and again no swing. Garcia continues to fall behind hitter after hitter. And Jason Giambi right now is looming in the on-deck circle behind Ortiz.
And that has been the biggest difference between Tim Hudson and Freddie Garcia. 0-1 versus 1-0.
Grounded foul left side, a ball and a strike. Ortiz, not just some slap hitter who's finding his way to the majors as a second baseman. He hit .351 with 24 homers last year at the AAA level. A whole lot of crooked numbers up there right now for Freddie Garcia. Fortunate in a sense to only be down 2. Ortiz wouldn't chase. Giambi at third, Hernandez at second, Damon at first, Jason Giambi on deck, and a hitter's count, 2-1 on Jose Ortiz. Base hit into center, 1 run home. Here comes Hernandez. The throw from center is cut. A 2-run single for Jose Ortiz and a 4-0 Oakland lead.
Well, there you have the Oakland A's. Walk, base hit, stolen base, another walk to Johnny Damon, and then the base hit by Ortiz.
And here comes Lou Piniella again to take Garcia out and bring Tomko in. And a less than enviable spot with 2 on and the AL MVP coming up in Giambi, but Piniella couldn't wait any longer with the Mariners already down to 4-0 here in the 4th inning. We'll step aside for a moment as Tomko comes in to face Giambi. Jose Ortiz with a big 2-run single, and the A's have doubled their lead.
Back in the studio, Royals and the Yankees. Big opening day for Bernie Williams. Couple of nifty plays in the field. Also hit a 2-run home run in the ball game. And how about Roger Clemens? Joe Randa in the 9th. 3,509 strikeouts for Clemens, #1 all-time in the American League. The Yankees beat KC 7-3.
Passed a fellow by the name of Walter Johnson to set that American League record. Freddie Garcia out of the game here. Brett Tomko in to face Jason Giambi. With 2 on, only 1 out, 3 runs in already in a 4-0 Oakland lead. Tomko has been a starter. He's been a reliever. He's in the pen right now. He may start a little with Paul Abbott on the DL. He could very well have been traded had the Mariners not come down with some pitching injuries. Gil Mesh, Ryan Anderson. Anderson definitely out for the season. Mesh out until at least after the All-Star break. But there aren't too many teams with excess depth in pitching, and at some point Seattle might become one of them, and there will be a lot of teams knocking on Pat Gillick's door.
Outstanding bullpen of the Seattle Mariners. Used to be, like you said, Dan, their weakness, now their strength. Paniagua, Rhodes, Sasaki, just outstanding arms.
2-0 down and in ball 3. You got a glimpse of Jeff Nelson, who has come back to Seattle after 5 years with New York. And Sasaki, who had 37 saves on his way to the American League Rookie of the Year award last year. But they've got bigger problems on their hands right now. 2 on, and Tomko has not exactly come out of the bullpen firing strikes. 3-0 to Giambi, taking all the way, it looked like.
He will. Along the same lines of Mark McGwire. Never swings at a 3-0 count.
How about 3-1?
3-1. 3-1 will be lift and separate.
It comes from Tomko. Didn't have a chance. Another walk. The 6th given up by Seattle pitching tonight. And the bases are loaded again, this time for Olmedo Signs.
Designated hitter, Olmedo Signs.
Olmedo with that big double. Sometime you're going to have to pitch Jason Giambi, especially if Olmedo Signs continues to swing the bat exceptionally well. But another situation where a ground ball gets you out of this inning, minimizes the damage. Get your team in there, try and get more than 1 hit that the Mariners have on the board right now.
Signs trying to show Art Howe, as you mentioned, that even when John Jaha comes back from his shoulder problems, that he's got to be in the lineup somewhere, whether it's just against lefties, more than that, DH, third base, who knows. Down and away, ball 2, 2-0. The A's have had favorable counts all night long. And now Tomko's going to get a visit. Brian Price, the pitching coach, is on his way out.
First pitch, strike 1, then you expand the strike zones. What Tim Hudson has done the first 3 innings against the Mariners. But like you said, Freddie Garcia, 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1. Pitch after pitch. What it does, Dan, it gets your infielders on their heels a little bit, not on their toes, kind of picking around at the ground. Going at him, pitching behind in the count, just plays right into the Oakland A's advantage.
Well, on the heels of yesterday's Sunday night debut from Puerto Rico, this coming Sunday, John and Joe and the gang will be at Chavez Ravine in L.A. as Barry Bonds and the Giants take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Sunday night of baseball presented by Nextel, one of the best rivalries in all of baseball. The Giants and the Dodgers Sunday at 8 Eastern to 5 Pacific time. And if you can't get yourself to a TV, don't forget nationwide coverage on ESPN Radio as well. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Both Western divisions, American League and National League, appear to be wide open. 3, maybe 4 teams in each division who could contend. Boy, this is a mile-high pop-up in the middle of the diamond off the bat of Signs for the second out of the inning. That snaps a streak of 6 consecutive Oakland batters who had reached base.
2-0 count. Olmedo Signs expanding his strike zone. Goes after a ball up. Brett Tomko getting very beneficial pop fly on the infield.
Now Eric Chavez walked in the second, struck out in the third. One of the young players the A's have locked up to multi-year deals. Tim Hudson's in that group. Miguel Tejada's in that group. First pitch swinging, he fouls it off. Of course, Jason Giambi, as we mentioned briefly earlier, is the biggest concern to the Oakland A's right now. Will they be able to sign their heart and soul and keep the reigning MVP in Oakland for many, many years to come? They want to. He wants to. The snag is the no trade clause. Even Art Howe got an extension after working really on one-year deals for a while. He's
well deserved.
Yep. Down low, a ball and a strike.
Art Howe, a manager not afraid to delegate authority, trust each of his coaches to do their job, trust input from his players.
1-1 to Chavez. Tomko misses again, a ball 2. We mentioned that the roof has closed recently. The temperature is now down into the high 30s. How tough is that for pitchers?
Well, coming out of the bullpen, it's nice and cozy down there. You got the heater going, hands in the pockets. As long as you're allowed to blow in your hand, you get the moisture on the fingertips and have a decent grip on the ball.
High fly ball over toward foul territory down the right field line. And for those of you who may be somewhat unfamiliar with this stadium, yes, the roof is closed, but there's still open air coming in because it doesn't close completely. If you look out in left field and right center field, open areas around the scoreboard and above the seats out in left field, and it is still pretty chilly in this ballpark, even though they have closed the roof above us.
Still feel the wind coming in and swirling. Imagine a carport.
They look cozy. You're imagining another coffee. I know you.
Yes.
You finished off that big one pretty quickly earlier. And Wilson can't find it, and now gets a little bit of help from Tomko. 3-2 with the bases loaded and 2 outs.
Danny Wilson coming back, worked very hard in the offseason, getting stronger. Look at the agility and the speed of the reflexes of Dan Wilson. That ball has no business being blocked. What a great effort by Dan Wilson, exploding to the point of impact and smothering the ball. He didn't see the ball come off and hit his arm like it hit a 2x4. Killed the ball in front.
A chance for Chavez and the A's to blow it wide open here if he can do some damage. 3-2. Swing and a miss, and Tomko gets him to win the inning. The A's leave the bases loaded, but they score 3 times and knock Garcia out of the game to take a 4-0 lead over the Mariners. We are back at Safeco Field, where we have been told that the gentleman on the right of your screen just dropped $500 on Ichiro merchandise. They cannot keep it in the stores. They have not sold merchandise, jerseys, whatever, this quickly for anybody before. Randy Johnson, Ken Griffey, Alex Rodriguez. Ichiro Suzuki has become a huge star on both sides of the Pacific. I don't know what all that says, but I assume it's flattering.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's the weight of the world on your shoulders for the young man.
He's 0 for 2 tonight. Here's Brett Boone to lead off the bottom of the 4th. 4-0 the A's leading the Mariners. Did you see where in spring training the Mariners issued 75 media passes to North American media to cover them, and 166 passes to members of the Japanese press?
So the poor kid is on one of the backfield stretching, and there were 12 to 15 cameras, photographers watching and filming him stretch.
2-0 pitch fouled off. This game tonight is being broadcast live on television, on high definition television, and on radio back to Japan. Those gentlemen are from the Tokyo Broadcasting System. Let's listen in.
まず1点ですね。重苦しいこの雰囲気をなんとか早くね。はい。昨年はサンディエゴパドレスでプレーしていたブーンですが、そのサンディエゴでは2割5分1厘をマークしています。三塁線はファウル。しかしメジャーリーグデビューはこのシアトルだったんですね。ですから復帰と言いましょうか、戻ってきたわけですね、このブーンは。そうなんですか。最初がシアトルだったんですよ。そうですか。やっぱりレッズの時代とか、それからパドレス、ワールドシリーズで大活躍しましたからね。99年、一昨年です。これは空振り。ワンアウト。ブーン三振です。
How's your Japanese?
I got Seattle and 1 out.
From the Tokyo Broadcasting System, 3/4 of the Seattle Mariners games, 120 games, are going to be broadcast live back to Japan. And it's not only Ichiro, it's also Kazu Sasaki, obviously. Exactly. But with Ichiro coming on this year, even a bigger star in Japan than Sasaki is, Seattle has become Japan's team.
Unbelievable.
1 out of the inning, and here's Al Martin, a swing and a miss, 0-1.
How about the flight schedule for those announcers?
That was the 3rd strikeout of the night, by the way, for Tim Hudson. Suzuki 0 for 2 tonight, a couple of groundouts. One of the funnier sights before the game, with the swarm of media around him, was one of the members of the media who was wearing an Ichiro jersey.
Exactly.
If I'd have known, I'd have brought my Edgar Martinez. You'd have brought your Giambi. We'd have looked better. 1-1 to Martin, a swing and a miss, 1-2. How Safeco Field can accommodate all the people who are following the Mariners is beyond me. Now, this stadium has huge media facilities, and they need just about all of them right now. The Mariners on their website have a link to a Japanese website about the team and about Ichiro and Sasaki. Down low, 2-2. And of course, there's a huge Asian American population here in the Pacific Northwest, and many, many more of them are now coming out to games in part because of Ichiro and Sasaki.
There's a chair. 1.
3-2 on Martin.
And how serious the Japanese contingent take this. Yesterday, obviously being April Fool's Day, they wanted to know why he didn't play, Ichiro didn't play against the Cardinals in the exhibition. And Lou Piniella said, well, we're benching him. And it took the PR guy for the Seattle Mariners 25 minutes trying to convince the guys that Lou Piniella was just joking.
Hudson gives up a walk, his 4th of the night. Piniella and the others have figured that humor is a little harder for the interpreter to work with than some of the more standard instructions, like take this pitch, steal on this pitch. David Bell, the batter, grounded out his first time up. Martin at first, 1 out. Bell hoping to improve on those numbers from a year ago. 2 years ago, he hit 21 homers and drove in 78. So he is capable of better. Right fielder Jeremy Giambi's just taken about 5 big steps to his left toward the line. It's a pretty big gap in right center field right now for David Bell.
What that tells you, they're going to throw him off-speed pitches away, and don't believe that David Bell's going to get anything to pull. They want, it'll be there. We'll put the fastball out over the plate. That's why you have Jeremy Giambi playing straight up.
Time call just as Hudson began his windup.
A little late.
Danny DeMuth behind the plate here tonight. David Bell, the batter. We've got a Bell and we've got a Boone with Seattle right now. Both of the 3-generation families in Major League Baseball are represented right now by the Mariners. Bounced in and blocked by Hernandez.
One hit, 3 1/3. Has been effective though, Dan. Getting ahead of the guys.
20-game winner a year ago. Al Martin issued the walk with 1 out here in the 4th. David Bell the batter with a count of 1-0. There's a strike. One of the more amazing things about Tim Hudson, as young as he is and relatively speaking as inexperienced as he is in the majors, is that last year, as the A's needed to win virtually every day in August and September to get back into the race, he won his last 7 starts of the season with an ERA of 1.16. Won on the last day of the season to give the A's the West Division title, which is why he wasn't ready to start a game 1 of the playoffs. But a guy at the age of 25 who has shown no fear, who has pitched against the best, on the road, in the heat of a pennant race, and almost always come out on top. Runner goes. Throw is not in time. It was close, but a stolen base for Al Martin.
Much better throw from Ramon Hernandez this time. Tim Hudson had been working him, working Al Martin at first base. Pretty good jump again. Ramon Hernandez explodes out of there. Look at the release, the extension through the zone, doing all that he can do. Awfully close at second.
Second steal tonight for the Mariners. The count is 1-2 on Bell. 4-0 Oakland, bottom of the 4th inning. Swing and a miss, and Hudson comes up with another strikeout, his 4th. The final game here on opening day, presented by the Home Depot, comes your way from Safeco Field in Seattle. Dan Shulman and Mike McFarland with you. We've got maybe the top 2 teams in the American League West, although this division appears to be up for grabs to a certain extent. But the A's considered by many to be the favorites. The Mariners trying to bounce back from the departure of Alex Rodriguez. They've got Ichiro Suzuki now and trying to find their way into the postseason again. And what a way for these 2 teams to begin the regular season, playing against one another. Dan Wilson the batter. The A's got a 1 in the 3rd and then 3 in the 4th when they knocked out Seattle starter Freddie Garcia. And now the Mariners, who have just 1 lonely single off Tim Hudson tonight, are trying to scratch a run across and start getting back into this game. It's a very chilly night here in Seattle. They closed the roof a little while ago. We talked about some of the impact that Ichiro has had on Seattle. He's also expanded the cuisine here at Safeco Field.
Guy needed a shovel.
0-1 the count on Dan Wilson, who's 0-for-1 tonight. A ground ball to third, his first time up. Hudson misses low, a ball and a strike.
One of the traditions in Oakland is the starting pitcher has the choice of which jersey to wear. Tim Hudson, notorious for the dark green jerseys rather than the standard gray on the road. Wears the green at home as well.
It's not like a ball player to be superstitious. 1-2 now the count on Wilson. Hudson and Barry Zito and the big left-hander Mark Mulder.
A healthy Mark Mulder.
Gil Heredia in there, and Art Howe has Corey Lytle on the way to becoming his 5th starter. They don't need him for a couple of weeks. Fairly deep bullpen as well. 1-2 pitch, jammed him. Little looper back to first. It'll drop in a fair ball. Here comes Martin to the plate, and he will score without a throw as the Mariners get on the board.
Tim Hudson switching up from the forkball to strike Dan Wilson out. Going with a fastball, trying to sneak one by him. Balls that are down in the strike zone do not get flared in. Dan Wilson fights this ball up and in, off for the right side. Not a bad pitch. The location was just not where Tim Hudson wanted it to be.
The A's lead has been cut to 3 at 4-1. Wilson at first, 2 down, and here's Carlos Guillen, the Seattle shortstop, who struck out his first time up. Switch hitter, little chopper out in front of the mound. Hudson very quickly to pick it up and to make the play and end the inning. And he gives up a walk, a stolen base after that, then a base hit to bring home a run. 4-1 Oakland leading Seattle at the end of 4. Back in chilly Seattle, temperature in the high 30s. The A's lead the Mariners 4-1 and moving to the 5th here on opening day. Capacity crowd are very close to it here at Safeco Field. Miguel Tejada leading off the 5th and taking down and away from Brett Tomko into his 2nd inning of work in relief of Freddie Garcia. Garcia's line winds up 4 earned runs on 5 hits and 5 walks in 3 1/3. Swung on and it popped in the air, shallow left. In comes Martin to make the catch for the first down as we send you back to Bill Pito.
Dan, thank you very much. We have the White Sox earlier today and the Indians. David Wells debuting for the White Sox, up 6-1. Juan Gonzalez, first game as a member of the Indians. Homered there in the bottom of the 6th, and he homered in the bottom of the 8th. Not enough, though. David Wells a win. White Sox beat Cleveland 7-4.
2 of the more significant personnel moves in the offseason and coming into play in that game, with Juan Gonzalez hitting a couple of homers and David Wells fronting the Chicago rotation and pitching very well. It figures to be quite a battle all season long between Chicago and Cleveland, and again those teams will play each other 6 more times than they did last year, just like New York and Boston will, just like Oakland and Seattle will, as divisional play gets re-emphasized again in the American League for the first time really since 1976, when Seattle and Toronto came into the American League and changed it from 12 teams to 14 teams. As Long can't hold up on this way. That changed things, and all of a sudden the whole notion of playing your own division more than the other division, that disappeared.
Well, I think it's good. You can start getting more pressure, especially early on. You're starting to see these big games early on in the season and continuing through the season, whereas before it'd be over at the All-Star break.
Well, we mentioned earlier a team like Oakland. They'll play their first 19 games of the season against teams within their own division. Then again in June and July they'll have another big stretch within their own division, and then again in September. It's automatic. 2 outs, nobody on for Jeremy Giambi. A strikeout and a walk tonight for Giambi. There will still be some oddities if you play in a division with an odd number of teams. For instance, Kansas City playing New York right now. They'll play them again in a couple of weeks, and then they'll be done with each other. So
the whole year, yes.
There are those, especially who follow teams that compete in the West, who say, well, it's great for divisional play, but it's not so good for the wild card because everybody's playing a different schedule. And a lot of people feel the AL West and the NL West are the 2 strongest, deepest divisions. So you're playing tougher teams within your own division and in interleague play than, say, teams in the Central divisions are playing.
Valid point.
Taken for a strike, 2-2. Tomko looking for a 1-2-3 inning here in the 5th. Giambi with a fly ball into center. It'll drop in front of Cameron, who didn't look like he got a good jump on that ball at all.
Probably one of those knucklers. Ball got in on Jeremy a little bit, and Mike was trying to read whether or not it was over his head. Floated in and dropped.
A look at the Home Depot in-game box for the Oakland A's, and look at the guy down at the bottom, the catcher, Ramon Hernandez. He has doubled, singled, scored twice, driven in a run, and here he is right now with 2 outs and a runner at first. It's been a big night to start off the season for Ramon Hernandez. I don't know that outside the Bay Area really anybody knows much about Ramon Hernandez.
Well, they understand, and they saw him throughout the year, that he's a kid that's growing up with this organization. And A.J. Hinch and Ramon Hernandez were the two upcoming stars for the Oakland A's at the catching position. A.J. Hinch now with the Kansas City Royals, but Ramon won it out offensively and learned on the job last year. And when you learn on the job and you take them to the playoffs, it's a job well done.
He hits the ball well again, but this time it'll carry all the way to Cameron in center field to end the inning. It's 4-1 Oakland. Ichiro will lead off the bottom of the fifth when we come back to Seattle.
ESPN2's Major League Baseball Opening Day, presented by Home Depot, is brought to you by Holiday Inn, who gives you more, and more is better. And by Nortel Networks. We're building the new high-performance internet.
Another big ovation for new Mariner Ichiro Suzuki. Coming up for the third time. He's grounded out already twice tonight. The 7-time batting champ in Japan. Had a very big spring, hitting well over 300 for the Mariners. Everybody who has seen him says he's got a ton of ability. As Hudson starts him with a strike. A guy who predominantly hits the ball the other way, and the A's do have him shaded the other way to a certain extent, and they've got Eric Chavez way in on the grass at third, although we're told that Ichiro, despite his speed, is not really a guy who tries to drop a bunt down for a base hit very often at all.
No, but what he does is use the whole ballpark, and when he hits a ball deep to the shortstop, where the shortstop has to backhand it, or in the hole, he has a chance of beating it out every time with his exceptional speed.
Scouts also say he's got a terrific arm. Is a very good defensive outfielder. He has won the equivalent of 7 Gold Gloves in Japan. Lou Pinella's wanted him to turn on the ball a little bit more. Let's see you pull it. Let's see you show some pop. And there you see he tried to yank it to right field and wound up missing it entirely. 2-2.
One of those front foot hitters, very handsy hitter. Oakland A's are going to attack him down out of the strike zone away. Likes to get out of the box in such a hurry. Off speeds right there.
Ichiro now 0 for 3.
Going into this, talking with Ramon Hernandez, they were going to attack Suzuki away, hard and soft. Here's that nasty forkball from Tim Hudson. Tell you what, I don't care where you're from, that ball is unhittable.
Hudson picks up his 5th strikeout of the night, blowing on his hand to try and stay warm here on the cool night. And facing a guy who's given him some problems tonight in Mike Cameron. And Cameron, we were talking about earlier about how he's not really your typical number 2 hitter, not all that disciplined, doesn't take a lot of pitches. Well, they must have had our feed piped into the clubhouse, because tonight he's walked twice. He's fouled off a number of pitches. He saw 15 pitches in his first 2 plate appearances.
He has, and coming out of spring training, feeling very good, very comfortable. Great round of batting practice, emphasizing going the other way, keeping his hands inside the ball. You know, hit 300 in spring, allowing himself to get deeper in the count and trusting his ability to get there, and doing some damage when he is behind in the count.
Right at the knees, and it's 1-2 on Cameron.
And Tim Hudson isn't exactly a guy you want to go up there and get deep in the count, knowing that that forkball's in his arsenal. You want to get the first fastball you see and put it in play. So he's shown some restraint tonight in this number 2 hole.
Hudson's just not leaving anything up at all against the Seattle hitters. Here comes the 1-2, and it's off the end of the bat foul.
And with the slider on that pitch. Fastball, forkball, changeup, slider, throwing them all for a strike. 2 hits, 1 run.
And again, the 1-2 on the way to Mike Cameron. Down and in.
When a pitcher has the ability to do a couple things, throw strikes with all his pitches, and the ability to throw off-speed pitches in fastball counts. That's what Tim Hudson can do, and everything comes out of the same arm slot, making him so very effective.
Just missed, and it's 3-2. And other than some occasional problems finding the strike zone, The Mariners haven't been able to do anything at all. Edgar Martinez had a single in the first inning, and Dan Wilson had a bloop RBI single in the fourth inning. Those are the only 2 hits for Seattle tonight. Three-2. Upstairs, and Cameron walks for the 3rd time tonight. And that'll bring up the most dangerous hitter that Seattle has, with Cameron at first and 1 out in the 5th inning. DH Edgar Martinez, a base hit and a walk for Martinez tonight. Getting better with age. And Edgar chant now reverberating around the building. Cameron with a big lead. He's already got a stolen base here tonight.
Lou Piniella has talked about having to do the stolen base and the hit and run and bunting, sacrificing, manufacturing runs. Attacking the fact that Tim Hudson likes to throw those off-speed pitches and fastball counts, and they've guessed right twice.
Not going. The A's guess that he is and guess wrong. Crowd boos. They should be cheering. Now Edgar's got a hitter's count on him.
Exactly, and now it's a game of pitching to your lead. You have a 3-run lead. Ramon Hernandez just made a nice throw on the last steal attempt. Give Tim Hudson a slide step. Give him some chance. Throw over, but pitching out to get behind a batter like Edgar Martinez, you might have to question that.
Almost gets away from Hernandez. It's 2-0. No matter how you slice the numbers, Edgar Martinez, one of the very best hitters that the game has seen in the last 10 years or so. 320 or better each of the last 6 years. The only active major leaguer who can say that. 2-time batting champ. Takes a strike, 2-1. And somewhat surprisingly, I guess, until you think about all the turnover in baseball these days, among American League players, the only guy who has spent a longer career with one team right now is Cal Ripken. Otherwise, it's Edgar, who goes back to 1987 with the Seattle Mariners. 2-1, runner not going, and Martinez takes ball 3.
Never comes out of his game plan or his approach. Rarely do you see him chase an off-speed pitch. Always on balance, hands in position to attack the baseball.
And among all the Seattle hitters, he seems to have been affected the least by the switch from the Kingdome to this park. He's still finding the gaps. He's still hitting for a good average.
It's because he doesn't change his approach. Regardless of the field, regardless of the pitcher. Better with age.
He's going to play at least a couple of more years. Signed an extension recently with Seattle. He got such a late start, relatively speaking, as a major leaguer, that he may not have the kinds of numbers that jump out at you as Hall of Fame numbers. But 2 or 3 more good years, he'll start getting some support. Runner goes, and it's a base hit into right center for Martinez. Cameron is on his way to third as the ball is cut, and he'll stop there. Edgar is 2 for 2.
Got behind with the 0-0 pitch out and then gets a fastball up in the zone. Edgar Martinez not trying to do too much with it. Smokes it into right center field. First and third situation. First ball hit hard from Tim Hudson. Haven't seen too many balls up in the strike zone, but with a hitter of Edgar Martinez, he knows what to do with it.
Pitching coach Rick Peterson to the mound for the first time tonight to talk with his young ace. The A's have a 4-1 lead, but it's in jeopardy here in the bottom of the 5th. Dana DeMuth is going out to break up the conversation with John Olerud waiting at the plate.
Rick Peterson just out there trying to calm him down a little bit, get him back in his game plan. Nobody up for the Oakland A's in the bullpen.
Just the third hit of the night for the Mariners, 2 of them belonging to Edgar Martinez. John Olerud, fly ball to center field in the first, struck out in the third.
Tim Hudson up to 84 pitches now on a very cool night. Let's see Art House starting to get that good athletic bullpen. Jeff Tam, Jim Masear, one of those guys up to stem the tide here at the bottom of the 5th.
First and third, 1 down. John Olerud the batter. Hudson works. And he went around. 0-1 on Olerud. Jeremy Giambia, just before that pitch was thrown, started off on a dead sprint over towards center field, apparently having received some kind of instruction on where to play Olerud, and then he stopped and ran back the other way.
Dazed and confused in right field. Playing him slide opposite, straight up in right field.
Check swing foul. Well, very few hitters in baseball use the entire field as much as John Olerud. Year after year, if you see a breakdown of his hits, it's almost exactly a third to left, a third to center, a third to right.
Yeah, they cannot position this guy. And you said it, Dan. During those years when he was hitting 350, 360, it was like there were no outfielders. The guy had holes anywhere he wanted to put the ball. And it wasn't like he was flaring balls. He was smoking every single hit.
Hudson out in front, 0-2. Now, the year that John Olerud hit 363 for Toronto back in 1993, he had 54 doubles. And as we were mentioning when we were talking before the game, it's not like he was stretching singles into doubles. He wasn't legging any of them out. He was hitting the ball up the alley all night long.
Knocking the walls down. Jeff Montgomery, the great Royals closer, threw him a knuckleball. Had no success getting him out, threw him a knuckleball. John Olerud smoked that for a double in the gap.
Activity now beginning in the Oakland pen. Hudson with the lead here in the bottom of the 5th. Bounces one in. Hernandez blocks it. There's T.J. Matthews and Mark Guthrie up in the pen for Art Howe. Down at the possibilities, what Seattle has coming up, what he's got down in the bullpen.
And Tim Hudson 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning.
1-2, and Olerud takes it low. He's always had a very good eye. Each of the last 9 years, Olerud has walked more than he struck out. Every single year. Now, if only he could calm down a little. Have you ever met a guy? And I get Edgar Martinez is another guy like that.
Very even keel. The old adage, never knew if he went 0 for 4 or 4 for 4, applies to John Olerud.
From 0-2 to 2-2. Hudson checks the runners. Out of the plate, Olerud checks the swing after the appeal. And it's 3-2. And Hudson mumbling under his breath.
They had John Olerud chasing at a fork ball the last time up. Tried to get him again. John Olerud, veteran hitter, staying back and reading it.
Mike Cameron, the runner at third. Edgar Martinez at first. The pitch count now climbing rapidly for Tim Hudson. And the 3-2 pitch is low, ball 4 to load him up. It's the 6th walk given up by Tim Hudson tonight.
And you talk about pitching to your lead. 3-run lead. Now you have the bases loaded with Brett Boone up. A situation where the Mariners could bust out a big inning here. This is a situation where Tim Hudson has to attack John Olerud through 4 straight off-speed pitches, trying to get him to chase, going for the strikeout rather than letting him try and put it in play. But good sinking fastball down in the zone for the double play.
Boone's numbers from a year ago with San Diego. He's 0 for 2 here tonight. Hudson works. It's swung on and grounded foul up the third base line. Boone hitting in the number 5 spot in the Seattle lineup. And again, not to belabor the point, but you think back a couple of years ago, and probably Edgar Martinez was hitting in the 5 spot. You had Griffey and Alex Rodriguez in the lineup as well. You had a healthy Jay Buhner hitting 6th.
Right.
Buhner may be back in a month or 6 weeks. He's got a strained arch, hoping to come back. Fouled off again, 0-2. Seattle desperately needs players like Brett Boone and Al Martin, who's on deck, to meet or exceed the kind of seasons they have had in the past, and to give Lou Piniella somebody else to depend upon other than Edgar Martinez. The 0-2. In the air right field, pretty deep, backing up Jeremy Giambi. Tagging is Cameron. The throw will come in towards second base, and it's 4-2.
A nice at-bat by Brett Boone. No ball, 2-strike count. Tim Hudson trying to bounce a fork ball, but leaves it up just a little bit. Brett Boone sticking his face down in there, getting the barrel on it for a sacrifice fly. One of those productive outs we've talked about, Dan.
And the Mariners back within 2, still with 2 on after the RBI for Boone. And the batter was Al Martin, who grounded out in the second, walked, stole a base, and scored in the 4th. It's fouled off. Martin with Seattle last year hit only .231 in the last couple of months of the season, but prior to that, most of his years with Pittsburgh, he has proven himself to be a much better hitter than those numbers would indicate.
Very, very professional hitter. And that's why the Seattle Mariners know that.
And he may eventually work himself into a platoon with Buhner if Buhner can come back healthy. All kinds of rumors around Seattle in the last month that the Mariners are looking for another big bat. More often than not, third base or left field were the 2 positions that you heard. A healthy Buhner would go a long way toward solidifying left field, but you heard names like John Vanderwall, Jose Cruz. Pat Gillick, the GM for the Mariners, has never been gun-shy about going out and swinging a deal.
Trigger, exactly.
The architect of the World Series teams with Toronto, then a stint in Baltimore, now Seattle. Martinez at second, Olerud at first. 2 down in the inning. And the 0-2 to Martin. Very high. Ironically, in his early days with the Blue Jays in the mid to late 80s, Gillick was known as Stand Pat because he didn't swing a lot of deals. But he got over that just about the time the Blue Jays started winning World Series. 1-2 pitch, bounced in and blocked by Hernandez. Both catchers have been awfully busy doing that tonight.
2 guys that work down in the zone. Tim Hudson is very difficult to block, and he counts on that fact. Dan Wilson did a great job with Freddie Garcia, but Tim Hudson's stuff, you got to anticipate and expect that forkball, when you stick it down, you're on the gun, knowing that ball's going to be in the dirt, because that's the pitch he goes for the strikeout with. He rarely leaves it up.
Martin battling at 2-2. Down to first. Giambi the big bounce to make the play unassisted and end the inning. The Mariners get a run, leave a couple, and through 5 trail Oakland 4-2. The A's have a 4-2 lead on the Mariners moving to the 6th inning here at Safeco Field in Seattle. Every Sunday, it's Baseball Today right here on ESPN2. Rich Eisen and others have all the week's stories, highlights, as well as live reports from select games right until first pitch at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Start your baseball week off right with Baseball Today every Sunday on ESPN2. Top of the order for the A's here in the 6th inning. Johnny Damon, Jose Ortiz, and Jason Giambi facing Brett Tomko. Damon in his first regular season game as a member of the A's is grounded out, popped up, and walked. 327 last year, 46 steals. Molleru to a knee to make the play. Back to the studio. Here's Bill Pito.
And thank you, Rafael Furcal of Atlanta today. 4 RBIs. This home run breaks a 4-4 tie in the 7th. And the Braves go on to win their season opener 10-4. Easy win today at Cincinnati.
Got to look at new look Synergy Field there in Cincinnati. Having to make all kinds of changes to that ballpark with the new park on the way in a couple of years. They've got a, well, I guess a Cincinnati version of the Green Monster out in center
Monster.
field. Yeah,
40 feet high.
And natural grass in Cincinnati this year. So Barry Larkin is happy as Ortiz goes around 0-2.
Yeah, he offered to finance half of it and didn't have to do that.
Ortiz tonight, a 1 for 3, had a big 2-run single his last time up in Oakland's 3-run 4th inning.
So far, the big hit of the game.
Down low, 2-2. It's Ortiz and Ramon Hernandez, two somewhat unlikely candidates given some of the other hitters in this Oakland lineup who have been the biggest offensive stars here tonight.
Well, we're pitching around that guy all night long.
Ortiz hits it hard, center field. Cameron back, runs it down on the track. That ball was hit almost 400 feet.
This ball is caught due to the jump by Mike Cameron on this ball. Ortiz showing some of that power that he's demonstrated that everybody loves so much. Mike Cameron, very underrated outfielder. With Suzuki out there now, you've got some speed to cover some of these big gaps here at Safeco Field. Great jump, great catch.
2 outs in the inning, and here's Giambi. There is maybe our first true clear example in this game of the high strike being called.
Right under Jason Giambi's armpits, borderline height. Dan Wilson pulls it down a little bit.
There are some pitchers who just won't even try to throw the ball up there, and Tim Hudson's one of them. We haven't seen.
Yeah, you don't want to ask a pitcher to do something that he's not best at doing. You don't want Tim Hudson elevating unless it's for effect. But to try and get a guy to elevate to throw strikes, not something that you're trying to do.
No swing on the appeal. 1-2 on Giambi.
But it will be interesting to see how it affects this Oakland A's team. So all of a sudden, you start calling a bigger strike zone on a team that prides itself on being very patient. Start taking the A's out of their game plan.
Tomko working quickly. Here's the 1-2, down and away.
And that's why you've seen the Oakland A's, although it's only 4 runs, they've had opportunities every inning by getting runners on, working the count. Saw Freddie Garcia's pitch count get elevated in a hurry. Brett Tomko's done a good job, though, coming in, stemming the tide.
The A's have left 8 on through the first 5 innings. Giambi is gone. Tomko has changed this game around. The high, hard one past Giambi and on to the bottom of the 6th with Oakland leading Seattle 4-2. T.J. Matthews on in relief for the Oakland A's here in the 6th inning. The highest ERA among all regular American League relievers last year, but he was coming off elbow surgery the previous winter. He has lost weight. He's a year removed from surgery. He had a great spring, and the A's are confident he's going to be the pitcher he was before the surgery.
Yeah, he was still recovering from that surgery last year. Didn't have the snap on his slider, the explosiveness of his fastball, but talking to the guys, seems the fastball's back this year.
Fouled back by David Bell to begin the bottom of the 6th, with the A's leading the Mariners 4-2. Tim Hudson, the starter for the A's, goes 5 innings, gives up 2 runs on 3 hits, walks 6, and strikes out 5. Matthews, one of the middlemen for the A's. They've got a couple of very effective right-handed setup relievers in Jim Messier and Jeff Tan, who might be one of the most underrated relievers in baseball.
Yeah, both of those guys. No one's heard of them. Messier came onto the scene here with the Oakland A's and was just dominant. Really was the bridge to get to Jason Isringhausen, the closer.
Look at the game face on display for Matthews here tonight as he jumps out in front of Bell 0-2. Surprising to see Freddie Garcia go 3 1/3, Tim Hudson to go 5, but both struggled mightily to find the strike zone tonight as Bell fouls it off. The 2 starters combining for 11 walks in this game.
2 young pitchers, opening day assignments, juices are flowing. A little bit out of rhythm, out of sorts.
Why do you get the feeling that in September they'll face each other again with
a good chance,
a lot on the line?
Good chance.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss, and Bell is gone. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. And for the most extensive coverage of Major League Baseball, log on to MLB.com. 1 down in the bottom of the 6th. Dan Shulman and Mike McFarland with you in Seattle. It's the A's 4 and the M's 2. Dan Wilson, the batter. Loop single for an RBI back in the 4th inning. At the knees for a called strike. Ballparks like that apartment you had when you were in college near the railroad tracks, and when you first move in, all you hear is the train
at 4 in the morning.
But a couple of weeks later, you don't even notice it anymore. Didn't hold up on the swing, and it's 0-2 on Wilson.
T.J. Matthews with a good hard 2-seamer to strike out David Bell on the inside corner. Little snappy slider there to Dan Wilson. Can't hold up on it. Really feeling comfortable about getting out on the mound this year. Went through a very tough physical and emotional season last year.
1 ball and 2 strikes, the count on Wilson. I think we who have never played professional sports and never had any kind of surgery take it for granted that when somebody comes back from surgery that happened in the offseason, they should be 100%. And more often than not, that's just not the case. And sometimes they need a full year and then some to rest and rehab and get back to where they were.
You battle all the demons that come along with that. Start doubting yourself. Am I ever going to get back to where I was before? Is it going to blow out again? Am I going to have more problems with it? And boy, it just doesn't seem like I'm throwing as hard as I used to. Let me try and throw harder. A lot of baggage coming along. Comes along in those circumstances.
Matthews doesn't like anything that Ramon Hernandez has to offer right now. Now he's settled on a sign. 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss, and back-to-back strikeouts for Matthews here in the 6th.
We're seeing a couple strengths from both of these ball clubs. We talked about the strength of the Seattle Mariners pen. Brett Tomko doing a great job so far. Here's that slider from T.J. Matthews. Excellent location, down and away. All set up by the power sinker of Matthews. Getting that front shoulder of Dan Williams to pull off a little bit and then throw the slider on the outside corner. Great sequence from Ramon Hernandez.
2 outs in the inning, nobody on it. Here's shortstop Carlos Guillen, who has struck out and grounded out tonight. And on the grass at third is Chavez as Guillen takes ball 1.
Starting to see the breath on the players out on the field. T.J. Matthews blowing in his hand. Big puff of smoke coming out. You said 39 a while ago. I guarantee you it's dropped. It's a little south of that now.
The rumor was it was up in the mid-50s earlier today, but we'll dispute that as Guillen lifts a high fly ball right center field. Terrence Long has room, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for T.J. Matthews here in the bottom of the 6th. It remains the A's 4 and the Mariners 2. Seventh inning in Seattle, A's 4 and the Mariners 2. Brett Tomko still on the mound for Seattle. Olmedo Signs will lead off the inning and look at a strike. Signs the DH for the A's here tonight, a 1 for 3 RBI double back in the 3rd inning. Signs perhaps being pushed to the bench. Jaha coming back. Adam Pyatt, a platoon player, and even on the bench, Art Howe's got a lot of thunder.
Excellent pinch hitter, and Olmedo Signs goes up there with the theory. First straight thing I see, I'm hammering it. If I miss it, well, at least I know I'm loose for the next pitch coming in.
It's such a carefree bunch. It's all fun. There's no fear of failure. It's all having fun for these A's.
Never has been, and that's one of the things they're talking about this year. They're expected to win this division, and they know it. No thought, no concerns about being tense.
Fly ball left center, Cameron over, 1 down.
And Jason Giambi won't allow that to happen. It's a carefree, loose atmosphere in that clubhouse up until game time. Once game time starts and they go out there in between the white lines, they got the game faces on and they're going to war. And they're not out to win, they're out to stomp somebody and make an impression that'll carry over to the next night.
A guy who's had a little bit of fun in his playing days, Norm Charlton, is back with the Mariners again. His 3rd stint with Seattle. He's warming up in the pen. Eric Chavez takes a strike. Charlton perhaps the last guy to make the team. Paul Abbott put on the DL, and instead of choosing between Charlton and another reliever, a righty, Ryan Franklin, the Mariners kept them both.
Nice ovation for Norm when he came in tonight. Fans remembering all he's done for this organization.
Ryan Price, the pitching coach, apparently overhauled Charlton's mechanics about a month ago after he'd gotten whacked a couple of times in the spring. And Charlton started from scratch and had a good spring. The numbers were good enough to keep him on the team. Slow bouncing ball out towards second. Chavez retired, 2 down. How about Brett Tomko?
I was just going to say, let's say something about Brett Tomko. Going into the playoffs last year, 2 2/3 innings, scoreless relief and extra innings against the Chicago White Sox. Coming in tonight, doing the same exact job, keeping his team in this ball game, giving them a chance to come out offensively and try and win the ball game for him. It's just been fantastic since coming in for Freddie Garcia.
3 1/3 shutout innings for Tomko. He's retired 6 in a row right now, and he starts Tejada with a strike.
Great rhythm, good tempo out on the mound. Strike 1, expanding the zone, throwing strikes.
Ripped to third, caught by Bell, and the inning is over. 7th inning stretch, top of the order. Ichiro coming up for the Mariners, who are down by 2. Right fielder Ichiro, also known as Ichiro Suzuki, but wearing just his first name on the back of his uniform, comes up. He's 0 for 3 tonight. A couple of groundouts and a strikeout. Big time numbers. His 7th consecutive batting title in Japan last year, as he takes outside from T.J. Matthews, ball 1.
I don't see too many mics on the back of jerseys now.
Well, the story goes apparently that some years ago there were 4 Suzukis on his team, so he went Ichiro to differentiate himself.
One of the things the Seattle Mariners were concerned about was the ability to catch up to the fastballs of the American pitchers in the American League. Look at back in over in Japan, had a little bit bigger leg kick to get loaded on the backside. Now they're trying to shorten him up. Watch the difference at the point of contact. Now here, going straight towards the ball, coming off the backside, leaking forward. But boy, look at the head down on the ball. Great hands. One of the things they like about him is his ability to get out of the box in such a hurry. The slow rollers, beats it out to first base. shortening up that leg kick, allowing him to drive through the ball quicker.
Up the middle, base hit into center field.
Coming off the backside, there we go again. Driving through the ball, keeping his hands inside, working the middle of the field, hitting the ball on the ground, and using that great speed.
And yes, if that number 51 looks familiar, it was the number that Randy Johnson wore when he was a Mariner. Nobody had worn it since. So it went from being on a 6'10" pitcher to being on a 5'9" outfielder. Suzuki about 5'9", 160 pounds.
Here we talked about it. Watch the slow leg kick, which gets him loaded on this backside to catch up with the fastball. Notice how his weight transfers forward so quick. Head directly down, contact staying through the ball. The back foot, look at how quick he's out of the box and on the move. Knowing that ball's up the middle, taking the correct path around the base.
Think they're a little cold?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe for their sake they're not.
Exactly, yeah. Don't know what they've been partaking in tonight.
First hit for the first Japanese position player in the majors, Ichiro Suzuki. Leadoff man aboard in the 7th, 4-2 Oakland. Ichiro runs well at 21 steals a year ago. Mike Cameron, the batter, he's walked 3 times. Runner now to going. And Cameron, very patient tonight. Takes ball 1. Getting into the meat of the Seattle lineup as well with Edgar Martinez on deck. Steals in 9 seasons in Japan. So this is another weapon that Ichiro brings to the ballpark. Two 2-0 on Cameron.
Might be a time for Lou Piniella to put something on. Free Mike Cameron up a little bit. Clear his mind. Go ahead and take a swing at something here on a hit and run. Edgar Martinez, John Olerud, big boys coming up behind you.
Ichiro held by Giambi. Inside, ball 3. This is as noisy as this building has been in a long time. He got it started with a base hit. And he's a little bit nervous right now. It was 4-0 Oakland at one point. There's a strike taken, 3-1. With a run in the 4th, a run in the 5th, and now a threat here in the 7th for Seattle.
Great discipline by Mike tonight. 3-1 count. Guy deserves a chance to take a hack at a ball here. TJ Matthews has to come in with a good pitch this situation.
Runner goes, fouled off. You saw Jim Nasir, Mark Guthrie, both of whom look ready down in the Oakland pen. The Seattle lineup, starting with the next batter, Martinez, goes back and forth. Martinez a righty, Olerud a lefty, Boone a righty, Martin a lefty. So Art Howe's got some tough decisions to make.
He does. Coming off the bench, you have Tom Lampkin to come in and face a right-handed pitcher. Charles Gibson. You got 2 switch hitters in McLemore and Stan Javier. Lou Piniella's got some counter offensive to use against the bullpen of the Oakland A's.
Diving back in is Ichiro.
Start to set things up left, right, left, right. When you have switch hitters on the bench, both of them contact hitters, both of them that have been around a while.
Runner was on the move, 3-1. Let's see if he's going again. Should be on 3-2. He's off. And it's ball 4 to Cameron, who remarkably has drawn his 4th walk of the night. Let's go back to Bill Pito.
Dan, thank you very much. What a debut for Mike Hampton as a Colorado Rocky at Coors Field, no less, against the Cards. 8 1/3, gives up 5 hits, doesn't give up a run. And Larry Walker, a 2-run home run. All Rockies today in Colorado. The final score over St. Louis, 8-0.
Well, if anybody can get it done out there, Mike Hampton is the guy. T.J. Matthews is gone here. Jim Messier's coming in. The Athletic lead in jeopardy right now with the Lumber coming up. Well, now they're all covered up. Now it's Cole. But they're still pumped because their man Ichiro is out at second base. Mike Cameron's at first. Art Howe's gone to the pen for right-hander Jim Messier, who between Tampa Bay and Oakland had a terrific year last season. He has come on to face Edgar Martinez, who is the potential go-ahead run. It's 4-2 A's, bottom of the 7th. Martinez with another base hit. Ichiro's going to score. Cameron's going to stop at third. Edgar Martinez is 3 for 3, and the Mariners are back within 1.
Very uncharacteristic of Edgar Martinez. New pitcher coming in. Hadn't had any success against him. 1 for 10. Knows Jim Messier has that fantastic changeup. Sits on it, gets it, and smokes it in the right center field gap. Driving in a run, keeping the rally going. Now you have the tying run on third base. No outs. Big situation with a left-handed batter coming in. Unbelievable. 2 for 11 now.
First and third, nobody out for John Olerud. Strike on the outside corner. Edgar Martinez with a base hit to left in the first. He walked in the third, singled to right center in the 5th, and then to right field in the 7th. 3 line drives, and he has sprayed them all over the ballpark. Olerud with a base hit into left center. Cameron will score. Martinez stops at second, and this game is tied.
About professional hitters. Edgar Martinez, changeup, sitting on it, hits it the other way, not trying to pull the ball. John Olerud, same situation, staying in the middle of the ballpark, not rolling over, hitting into a double play. Content to take what the pitcher's offering you. Now Art Howe's got to be thinking, how do I minimize the damage, get my team back in here to swing the bat?
Brett Boone is the batter. Chavez at third, in on the grass, charging from first Giambi, and Boone does not show bunt. Edgar Martinez at second, John Olerud at first. Neither runs well. Swung on and missed.
That's not getting cheated. The situation that now you gave him a shot to take his hack. Now you might want him to bunt in this situation. But let's say he gets the bunt down and you sacrifice him. Then you have the left-handed hitter and Al Martin coming up. Could possibly walk him to load the bases. Yet you set up a double play situation to go against David Bell.
Seattle third base coach Dave Myers just came all the way down to the plate to give Boone the sign verbally, or to give the A's the impression he was giving him a sign, just to make sure there's no confusion right now. 2 runs in to tie the game. 2 on with nobody out. Boone squares a bunt up the first base line. Giambi over to first for the sure out, and the sacrifice moves the runners to second and third.
set up a situation where you have an open base. I'm going to play the infield in, see how this situation goes. Art Howe probably going to elect to walk him on 4 pitches. There's Ramon Hernandez sticking up 4 fingers for the intentional walk. Now you have the double play set up.
David Bell is the next scheduled hitter. Well, more often than not, this is how the Mariners are going to score their runs this year. They'll be patient, take pitches, come up with base hits, move runners along. Lou Piniella knows that with Griffey gone, A-Rod gone, and the Kingdome gone, life will never be the same again. Not better, not worse, just different.
And who started this rally?
Ichiro.
The new guy. Jay Buhner telling him what a great job. Brett Boone taking himself out. Not part of his game, getting the bunt down. Very effective. The guys are going to be asked to do things like that, Dan. Things that they're not normally used to doing. They're going to be asked and called upon to do it.
Pitching coach Rick Peterson to the mound to talk with Messier. With the bases loaded, 1 out, and a Bell coming up in a tie game. Left-hander Mark Guthrie has been ready for a while if they need him. But the left-handed hitters have come and gone. Olerud and Martin.
Well, possibly getting ready for a pinch hit by Tom Lampkin for Dan Wilson in the next situation. But task at hand is David Bell.
Bell tonight has grounded out and struck out twice. Martinez at third, Olerud at second, and Martin down at first. 0-1 the count on Bell. Well, they've already seen one Seattle hitter who didn't have much success at all against Messier come through tonight, and that's Edgar. Bell hasn't had any success against him. Messier, who broke into the majors with Seattle back in 1995. And Giambi wasn't budging. The first baseman wasn't on the bag, wasn't near the bag. And when Messier looked at him, Giambi just kind of put up his hands as if to say, don't throw it over here.
Jason's going, bases were loaded.
Hit hard, but foul down the left side, and it's 0-2. Pretty respectable numbers for Bell in his career with the bases loaded.
We've seen the successful hitters this inning against Jim Messier, both working the opposite field. David Bell out in front of both of those changeups. Now Jim Messier has them wherever he wants them with a fastball or changeup.
Inside, 1-2. Bell just looking for the fly ball deep enough to get Edgar Martinez home with a go-ahead run. The 1-2 from Messier. Just missed. 2 balls and 2 strikes. A 4-0 Oakland lead from back in the 4th inning is all gone now. Matthews charged with a couple of runs this inning. And all 3 runners on base. Messier's responsibility. 2-2. Fouled off. Guy whose expression doesn't change a whole lot as you watch him over the course of a game. Again the 2-2. Ground ball down to third. Chavez coming to the plate, and they'll force Martinez there for the second out.
Nice play by Eric Chavez. Only going to get 1 out. Knows he can't turn 2. Get the simple out at home plate. Nice, strong, accurate throw to Ramon Hernandez. Good fastball on the inside part. Jams David Bell. Gets out of the box good. Get the sure out. Keep the score tied.
So they're still loaded now with 2 outs, and the batter is the catcher, Dan Wilson. Wilson tonight 1 for 3 with an RBI single. Very good numbers for Wilson over the course of his career with the bases loaded. He'd settle for another one of those bloops like he had in the 4th that dropped just over the head of Giambi out in right field. 0-2.
Here's Jim Massir in that nasty changeup. Such deception, great arm speed, great action on the pitch. Only throws 87, 88 miles an hour, but after that changeup, one of those 95-mile-an-hour fastballs, same effect.
Fastball outside, a ball and 2 strikes on Wilson. This inning began way back when with Ichiro banging a base hit up the middle, his first hit in a Seattle uniform. A walk, a couple of hits later, a sacrifice, and Seattle had a couple of runs to tie it. 1-2 pitch. Wilson a swing and a miss, and Hernandez will complete it down to first base. Strikeout to end the inning. As Seattle gets a couple and through 7, tied at 4.
ESPN2's Major League Baseball opening day is presented by Home Depot, where low prices are just the beginning. And in part by Budweiser. With a crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you. And by WorldCom, Generation D.
In front of the largest crowd in the brief history of Safeco Field, 45,911. The Mariners have rallied back from a 4-0 deficit to tie it at 4 heading to the 8th inning. And a new pitcher has come out of the Seattle pen. This bullpen may be the deepest and best in this league. Left-hander Arthur Rhodes is on here to work the 8th.
Hard thrower, fastball, curveball, changeup. Everybody they bring out of that pen. Jeff Nelson has that whammo frisbee slider. Paniagua throws hard. Arthur Rhodes, left-handed stopper.
Change in left field as well. Anthony Sanders has come on for Al Martin. Martin's spot not due to come up again for a couple of innings in the batting order, but Sanders a superior defensive player. Bottom third of the order for the A's, Terrence Long, Jeremy Giambi, and Ramon Hernandez scheduled against Arthur Rhodes here in the 8th inning. Long will look at his strike. Check the swing.
Ball bounces over to Adam Pyatt on deck for Jeremy Giambi, that right field platoon situation. A breakthrough season allowed them to trade Matt Stairs.
Ground ball over the mound, a long way goes Boone, and he can't make the play. Even if he doesn't fumble it, I don't know that he gets Long, who runs very well.
Little chopper. Nice at-bat by Terrence Long, staying in there against Arthur Rhodes. Tough play for Brett Boone again, Dan. There's no chance of throwing Terrence out. Smelling that first hit. One of those things you try and do opening day. Get those 0-0-0s off the board.
Here's Adam Pyatt. Last year hit .299 with the A's. The year before that at Double-A hit .345 with 39 homers. Really a natural third baseman who has learned to play the outfield just to get some at-bats as a platoon player with Jeremy Giambi. Right-handed bat against the left-hander Rhodes. Long at first, already has a stolen base here tonight. Pyatt shows bunt, he fouls it off.
You're going to see an example of a young hitter who hasn't been called upon to bunt much in the minor leagues. Triple Crown winner in Double-A. Now he's up here trying to contribute in a situation. That's why when you come to the ballpark and you see the batting practice, the pregame BP, why these guys bear down and concentrate trying to get those bunts down, because there's a situation where he needs to get this ball down somehow, some way.
See if Art Howe puts it on again with the count 0-1. He does, and Pyatt does get it down. Rhodes off the mound to make the play. Sacrifice, moves long into scoring position.
Cold night, sitting there on the bench all night, called upon to pinch hit, and boy, great job of getting a bunt down for a guy that doesn't do it all that often.
The Oakland lineup is loaded with the guys who in high school, college, the minors all hit third or fourth.
Exactly. Bash.
Here's Ramon Hernandez. Maybe he's one guy who didn't necessarily hit third or fourth his entire life, but he's hit like he should here tonight. Doubled and scored in the third. Drove in a run with a base hit in the fourth, and then hit the ball sharply to center field in the fifth. So he's 2 for 3 as he faces Rhodes with the go-ahead run out at second and 1 out here in the top of the 8th. Inside to Hernandez, ball 1.
Smoked 3 balls tonight. Now you have a first base open with a left-handed batter on deck. Arthur Rhodes. Not very fun to face as for a left-handed hitter, although Terrence Long did get a big hit. One of Jason Giambi's nemesis.
Pretty good cut by Hernandez on a high fastball, and it's 1-1.
Fastball up in the zone. Ramon with the leg kick. Pulling off the ball just a hair, but this ball explodes out of Arthur Rhodes' hands. Gets by him just a bit.
Arthur Rhodes, one of these guys who can throw the fastball up at the new upper end of the strike zone. Misses low, ball 2.
Missed the lower end of the strike zone there. I think Arthur Rhodes wants this one. Just snap down out of the zone. Elevate for effect, pitch down in the zone. Still going to be the same for all the pitchers, Dan.
Look back at Long out at second base. 2-2, the count on Hernandez.
And Dan Wilson got crossed up on that pitch. I'm going to go out and have a word. I'm looking breaking ball, and you throw one 92 miles an hour at my face mask. Getting their sign straight. Look at how Dan Wilson's set up. We talked about that position, ready to blow. That's not a curveball. Folks, you don't understand how hard that is to keep your glove there on the same plane. The concentration that it takes, especially late in the game, been out here for 3 hours. 92 miles an hour with movement when you're expecting the ball to break off a different plane is pretty darn hard.
Got him. Hernandez doesn't like it at all, but it's called strike 3.
Arthur Rhodes, 4-seam fastball on the inside corner. Umpire will give you this pitch. That's a strike. Centers Dan Wilson right on the mask. That is a riding fastball. Look at Ramon, has no chance. Doesn't even bother to try and pull the trigger.
Now Johnny Damon, a runner at second, 2 down, tie game. Ball 1 to Damon. You saw a shot of Lou Piniella a few moments ago up on the top step of the dugout and moving all of his outfielders around toward left field. Rhodes, a lefty who throws hard. Damon, a left-handed batter. Piniella figuring Damon is most likely to take the ball the other way. Tried to. Chopper down to third. Inning over. Good job by Rhodes after the leadoff man reached. On to the bottom of the 8th. Tied at 4. And back at Safeco in the bottom of the 8th inning. Tied at 4 between the A's and the Mariners. So look at the Home Depot in-game box. Edgar Martinez, 3 for 3, all singles, a big RBI. Mike Cameron, though, give him a lot of credit. A guy who's not normally known for his patience, has drawn 4 walks tonight. He has come around to score twice. Carlos Guillen leads off the bottom of the 8th inning against Jim Messier. It'll be Guillen, Ichiro, and Cameron due up here in the bottom of the 8th, and if anybody reaches, Edgar Martinez. Freddie Garcia, Tim Hudson started this game. Garcia lasted only 3 1/3. Hudson went 5. 2-1 the count on Guillen. Anything that works.
Get your bat, your glove, your feet. Thing you don't want to do in bottom of the 8th inning is walk the leadoff hitter, and Jim Messier falling behind 3-1.
Leadoff man is aboard.
Well, now we'll see Lou and his small ball tactics with the new guy.
Remember, a guy who hardly ever bunted in Japan. Will he be asked to do it here? Had a base hit, scored a run his last time up, 1 for 4 overall. He's for sure expecting it. Chavez way in on the grass. Messier just held the ball to see if Ichiro would give anything away. Up the first base line. He can fly. They throw it away. Guillen rounding third. He'll be held. Ichiro to second. His speed was the difference there.
Wow. You want to talk about putting pressure on a defense. I talked about it, Dan. A guy that hasn't done this much in his life. Look at the acceleration down the baseline. Causes the bad throw up the line and is on second base, second and third. Nobody out. The heart of the order coming up. Messier and Hernandez. Ramon set a pick on his own pitcher. Couldn't get out of the way. Both guys trying to attack the ball, but that's what speed does for you. Gets you in a hurry, throws you off balance, creates havoc.
Second and third, nobody out for Mike Cameron.
Let's take a look at it again. First of all, great pitch to bunt. Down out over the plate. Ramon Hernandez is going for it, but nobody calls for it. Grabs a hold of Jim Messier's arm, trying to get out of the way. Has no chance to make an accurate throw.
It's been scored a base hit and then a throwing error on Messier. Runners at second and third. The crowd in disagreement with that high strike call. A productive night for Mike Cameron, even though he doesn't have an official at a bat yet. 4 plate appearances, 4 walks. But he has set the table very nicely for the guy behind him, Edgar Martinez. 1-1. Inside to Cameron, the ball 2. Third. And the runner at second is Cameron. It's a fly ball high, but not all that deep to center. Guillen to third. Long the catch. Guillen bluffs to start. The throw was way offline, but the runner was sent back.
About the only rational explanation I have for that is you have Edgar Martinez and John Olerud coming up. You're not going to want to go through the double play. This ball is plenty deep to score a run. I have no idea why he's not sent on this. Can easily score on that. Again, hindsight, but Mike Cameron deserves a sacrifice fly on that ball. got to believe you got to send him.
And they're not going to pitch to Edgar Martinez. They'll put him on, load the bases, bring up Olerud, and in all likelihood go to the pen for the left-hander to face him. So Edgar Martinez will reach base for the 5th time in this game. 3 singles, 2 walks. And it'll be up to Olerud, who had an RBI single his last time up. Both teams have let a lot of runners hang out on the bases tonight. Oakland has left 9 on. Seattle has left 10 on already tonight. The call has gone for the left-hander Mark Guthrie. Disappointing outing for Jim Nasir, to say the least. Bases loaded, 1 out, lefty-lefty matchup on the way when we return to Safeco Field in Seattle. Lou Piniella aging by the minute here tonight. The Mariners have rallied from a 4-0 deficit to tie it, but let an opportunity slip away when Guillen didn't try to come home from third. Now it's bases loaded, 1 out. The left-hander Mark Guthrie is on. Last year spent time with the Cubs and the Devil Rays and the Blue Jays. Now works as one of the 2 lefties out of the Oakland pen. Mike McNanty the other. He comes on here with the bases loaded, only 1 out, to face left-hand hitting John Olerud, who had an RBI single his last time up. There's the guy they want to get home. Guillen's at third, Ichiro at second, and Edgar at first. John Olerud did not have a home run against lefties last year, and had one of his worst years hitting against lefties overall. In his career, he's a pretty respectable 275 against them.
Well, you're looking for something to elevate, get a fly ball to the outfield, poke a ball in a hole so they can't turn a double play. Just something to get that runner from third in.
He'll do that. Deep in the alley to left center. Long runs it down. Guillen's going to score. Ichiro comes to third, and Seattle takes the lead.
Gets something up, out over the plate. Key is elevation. Not exactly where Guthrie wanted this pitch. All John Olerud did was lay the barrel on the ball, fly ball, deep enough to score the run.
Second sacrifice fly for the Mariners tonight. They don't have an extra base hit in this game. But this is the way, as we've mentioned a couple of times, they're going to have to find ways to try and score runs. And for the 2nd inning in a row, for the 2nd rally in a row, Ichiro right in the middle of it. Brett Boone, the batter. He got a bunt down last inning. Takes it low, ball 1. Also has a sacrifice fly. From Guthrie. It's bounced in, ball 2.
Situation where that is the key on third base, that run. You have second base open. Go after the young hitter and Anthony Sanders, who's on deck right now. Is this Sasaki warming up in a bullpen? Lights out.
Boone again not getting cheated when he swings the bat. It's 2-1. For Seattle, bottom of the 8th inning, Ichiro at third, Edgar Martinez at first. 2-2, the count on Boone.
of a sudden, Dane DeMuth, the last couple innings have had that high strike zone working, although that one did come down nice at the end.
The strike zone is supposed to be several inches above the belt.
Edgar doesn't get many of those anymore.
3 hits tonight for Martinez. And a couple of walks as well. He's been on base 5 times. 2-2. Just inside in a full count, and now Martinez will be off and running from first. Jason Giambi looking for instructions. You want me to play behind him, or you want me to hold him on? I'm going behind. Slow, methodical comeback for the Mariners here tonight to take the lead now in the bottom of the 8th. 3-2 pitch, grounded out to Ortiz at second, and the inning is over. But the Mariners have the lead. They've got Kazu Sasaki probably coming in, but it's Ortiz, Giambi, and Signs coming up. Well, what a night it potentially could be for the Japanese contingent of the Seattle Mariners. Remember, this game is being beamed back live to Japan on television, high definition television, and also being broadcast on radio. Many of them came to see Ichiro, his regular season debut with the Mariners. They know about Kazuhiro Sasaki from a year ago, but it's the dynamic duo from Japan who could each play major roles in this game. Ichiro with a couple of base hits his last 2 times up. He scored a run, and now Sasaki, the rookie of the year last year, after saving 37 games for the Mariners, comes on to the ninth to try and protect a 1-run lead.
Fastball, forkball. Simple, right? A fastball rides up and in on you. Forkball breaks down off that same plane as the fastball. Look at those numbers. Outstanding. Struggled early in the year. Came over with high expectations. Put a lot of pressure on himself. Settled down and became a dominant closer that they're counting on for these type of situations.
Not going to be easy for Sasaki here tonight, given that Jason Giambi is the second hitter coming up for the A's here in the 9th inning. Jose Ortiz, the second baseman's up first. Olmedo Signs due up third. Ortiz with a 2-run single back in the 4th, then hit the ball about 400 feet to center field for a loud out in the 6th. Many of the almost 46,000 still here, with the Mariners leading by 1 in the 9th. And a strike taken by Ortiz. Early on last season, Sasaki struggled a little bit, but the further into the season he got, the better he got. He was lights out in the second half. 0-2.
So here's the problem I have. You're coming in, you know Sasaki with an unhittable forkball when he throws it where you want to. So you go up trying to work the count. Sometimes your manager says, take the first pitch. Well, that first pitch was a fastball belt high out over the plate, and you're up there trying to work the count. My theory is go up, first straight thing you see, let it fly.
Just low. Oh, Sasaki wanted that one.
I think everybody wanted that one. Here's that forkball. Dan Wilson set up on the outside corner, just broke down below the knees.
Two. Hit into center field, a base hit for Ortiz. His second hit of the night, and the tying run is aboard. Let's go to our colleagues at the Tokyo Broadcasting System to listen in on Sasaki and Giambi.
キャッチャーもね、去年1年一緒にやって知ってるはずなんですよね。例えばその前の低いフォークボールをバッター逃してますよね。とすれば、
He's saying, why did you throw a fastball?
なるほど。それをストレートのサインはちょっと今の うなずけないんですよね。
さあジオンビーです。昨シーズンは左バッターに打たれた。その左バッターを抑えるためにツーシームを開発したという。
First pitch to Giambi, a little bit high. I think he said Giambi's got no business even facing Sasaki in this kind of situation.
Well, I was interrupting them, but Sasaki got beat with a fastball up in the zone by Ortiz. 2 good forkballs. Going to be real careful with Jason Giambi in his selection of throwing him a fastball.
0 for 2 and a couple of walks for Giambi tonight. Fly ball to left field, pretty deep. Sanders back, has room, 1 down. The most dangerous man in the Oakland lineup has just been retired. Now Olmedo signs the DH, who's 1 for 4 with an RBI double. Ortiz, the base runner at first with 1 out. He runs pretty well. Had 22 steals a year ago. On the edge of their seats here at Safeco, as Sasaki tries to put the exclamation point on what Ichiro really got going the last couple of innings offensively.
Yes, exactly right.
Sasaki says that years ago in Japan, he and Ichiro talked of someday perhaps playing together in the major leagues. Ground ball down to third. 1. Ball game. Seattle comes back to win it. Suzuki and Sasaki, and the Mariners are 1-0.
All made possible by the outstanding relief job by Brett Tomko, coming in, shutting the door on the Oakland A's, allowing his team to come back. Great night all around for those 2 gentlemen.
Almost 46,000 people in attendance here in Seattle tonight saw their team fall behind 4-0 early and slowly but surely scrap their way back into it. Outstanding relief work, as you mentioned, some timely hitting, a couple of bunts, a couple of sacrifice flies, and the Mariners win on opening night 5-4. Once again, the final from Seattle. The Mariners 5 and the A's 4. Coming up to next year on ESPN2, it's RPM Tonight. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. For Mike McFarland, our entire crew, I'm Dave Schulman saying goodnight from Seattle. The Mariners win 5-4. We now leave you with a look back at some of the best from opening day 2001.